The mana calculation fan is simple. A massive machine weighing thousands of kilos. Pour in your mana, and it spins. The average exam score is 1,513 spins. The all-time record, 4,022. Stick with me, because our boy is about to absolutely shatter that record. Today is exam day, and everyone is sweating bullets. 100-meter dash, average is 3.6 seconds, record is 2.7. He crosses in 1.2. 3,000-meter run, the record is 3 minutes 17 seconds. He clocks 1 minute 17. Bro literally lapped the record holder. Push-ups and bench press done. Every single physical test completely shattered. Bro is on that Saitama workout streak. Those students who mocked him are now glued to the windows like it is a zoo exhibit. Then comes the fan test. But here's the thing. For 3 straight years, every mana test he took gave the exact same result. Absolute zero. He could not move the dial or even make the fan twitch. He used to strain with everything he had while the whole class laughed. But now he's fully focused because everything has changed. He places his hand right on it. The fan starts spinning slowly, making its first turn. Then in a split second it jumps to 1,020 and 40. Pure dense mana explodes outward. The numbers climb to multiple nines as students are literally sent flying by the sheer force, until boom, the entire mechanism rips right off its base, flying across the field like a massive blade. It crashes straight into the headmaster's office. Inside, the terrified headmaster dives right under his desk. Beside him sits Midori, the literal strongest hunter on Earth. And he's the only guy in the room laughing. Why? Because the last person to ever get an immeasurable score on this exact test was him. Now pay attention, because how does a 3-year failure suddenly match the world's strongest hunter? You see, before today, Kanagi Manato was an absolute joke. Rewind to yesterday. The entire class is jumping around hyping up their hunter exam results. Bro's sitting in the back staring at his phone, watching the exact same word load on his screen for the 3rd year straight. Failed. Tears start falling while everyone around him screams with joy. He actually carries the crest of the chosen ones, a mark supposed to scream destiny. Making it worse, his classmates notice him crying and immediately start tearing into him. Then walks in Hizaki, an A-rank hunter, the academy's absolute golden boy. Dude who one-shot a dragon and has documentaries made about him. To Hizaki, our boy is just a wallet. He spent an entire year stealing his cash, beating him down in private, and milking him completely dry. But on camera, Hizaki straight up tells reporters he's been helping our boy out. He claims the protagonist keeps begging for money and ruining his own training. The reporters totally eat it up, praising Hizaki like a saint. Meanwhile, Bro stands there shaking, forced to smile and thank his abuser on national TV. Then, Hizaki invites him out to the founder's mausoleum that very night. He promises a retest. Bro shows up, but obviously it's a total setup. Hizaki's crew is digging up the mausoleum like literal grave robbers hunting for relics. Bro tries to fight back, but gets folded in one single punch. Then Hizaki pulls the most cartoon villain move ever. He picks our boy right up, drags him straight to a cliff edge, and relentlessly mocks his dream. He asks his name one last time purely to flex that he never learned it and just drops him. You and I both thought this was the end of his story. But the second he hits that water, bursting light voices and faceless figures, the 106 founders, the exact legendary heroes from the books he memorized, their souls were sealed inside that mausoleum this whole time. And Hizaki accidentally completely cracked the seal by yanking out those relics. They look at his crest of nothingness and reveal the truth. The mark is empty on its own, but it can hold literally anything. They offer a contract. Pick one founder, inherit one skill: magic, swordsmanship, alchemy, archery. But Bro says no. He refuses to be a copy of anyone anymore. He wants every single one of them. The founders go completely silent. They warn him no human body can hold that much power. But his crest opens like a black hole, pulling all 106 legends inside him. He literally turns into a one-man hall of legends, shooting out of that river like a loaded missile. He lands right in front of Hizaki's squad. Then he picks up a small branch off a tree, a literal twig. Hizaki's A-rank bodyguard charges, screaming how the main character should feel honored to die. But the moment he passes, our boy blood just erupts from his body. The guy got cut down by a twig he never even saw move. Instantly, the group's mage starts casting a spell. Our boy fires back with Thunderbolt, high-tier magic 0 chant, and blasts him straight into the ground. Hizaki cannot believe his eyes. Old stories flood his head. The legend of a swordsman who beat 10,000 soldiers with just a stick. Wizard who cast magic without a single word. Then Bro punches Hizaki in the face so hard he goes flying. Trust me, you need to see what comes next. That punch woke something up, and those relics. Never just treasures. Alright, stick with me here. Hizaki just broke a seal, unleashing a massive boss monster. A gigantic shadow demon crawls out. Its aura is so insanely heavy that high-rank hunters miles away in the city physically drop to their knees. The beast locks onto Hizaki and absolutely crushes him with one tentacle. Now it is just our boy facing a monster way past S rank. He has 106 legendary founder souls inside him, but his actual body cannot handle their full power yet. So yeah, he completely bolts. Grabbing a drop sword, he dodges, climbs, and lets each founder control his movements. The 10,000 manslayers blade the wizards, lightening the archer's deadly aim. They pour through him one by one, every switch pushing his power higher. Bam! The swordsman takes the wheel, slicing that demon perfectly in half using the legendary one-handed wave-cutting blade. Fight over. And across the whole city, every single hunter felt it. Even Midori, literally the strongest awakened guy alive, stops totally to wonder who the heck soloed an S+ threat before he could arrive. The answer: the kid who failed the hunter exam 3 straight times. Cut to the next morning, same academy, same field. Kanagi limps toward the track, his body completely wrecked from holding 106 souls during that massive boss fight. But get this, he was given one final shot at the exam, and that is exactly why he is back to test again today. After a mana phantom wrecked the office, Midori himself approaches our boy. He is absolutely stunned. This is the strongest hunter on Earth. Touching down, Midori praises his exam score directly, but Kanagi is too shocked to speak. Then Midori suddenly offers him one final test. Here is where it gets crazy. Hit the strongest hunter once, our boy completely freezes up. Midori is 23, but became a full hunter at age 9. His name is already an absolute legend. He has turned thousands of demons to pure ash instantly. Other hunters are terrified of him. 10 years ago, he solo wiped out the Pandemonium, and 5 years ago, he completely crushed the Kyushu outbreak. He is just a monster on another level. During this challenge, he can barely believe his ears. Hinoki, though, totally hyped, instantly telling Kanagi to hand over control of his body. Midori makes the rules crystal clear. 1 minute to land a single hit. Win or lose, 0 punishment for trying. To keep things fair, Midori will only attack once every 10 seconds. So there is 0 reason to hold anything back. The MC can use absolutely any skill or weapon, and Midori promises not to use his own signature techniques. Proving his point, Midori summons a massive pile of legendary weapons for him to pick from. Seeing all this epic gear appear makes it feel completely unreal. Meanwhile, Kanagi is desperately trying to process that he is actually fighting Midori one-on-one. Hesitating, he asks if any weapon is actually okay. Midori just casually grabs a katana. With 0 effort, he snaps it in half, bluntly stating his own body is way tougher and sharper than any mere blade. He barely processes that insane flex before Hinoki completely loses it. Furious at that cocky attitude, he demands body control right this second. His power surges wildly. Right then, Kanagi realizes that Midori's raw strength literally rivals the legendary founders themselves. Against a beast like that, his chances are basically 0. Even so, he knows standing around hesitating will get him nowhere. You and I know he is cooked right, the crowd gathers. Suddenly, Midori smiles and starts the countdown. The test is on. Kanagi snatches a sword and charges right at him. Noki yells, asking if he is seriously fighting solo because that is totally unfair, but our MC ignores him, pushing forward anyway. Sure, borrowing the founder's power is the easy way out, but to become a true legend, he has to win with his very own strength. He takes a wild swing, but Midori dodges it smoothly with barely a single twitch. He keeps slashing while Midori casually scrolls his phone, asking what social apps he uses and laughing about how this will definitely go viral. The students are absolutely speechless. Midori is dodging everything while completely distracted. Still, Kanagi refuses to back down or stop attacking. Suddenly, one student spots something super weird about his movement patterns. He fakes a downward slash, instantly flipping into a horizontal strike aimed at the feet and throat. It is flawless, and even Kanagi is shocked his body moved so naturally. He also notices he is not getting tired. He wonders if this is another effect of the founder's power. Suddenly, Midori presses a finger to his forehead, ready to flick, casually whispering that 10 seconds are already up. He barely dodges in time, but the raw shockwave of Midori's attack literally rips the field apart. Seeing the massive crater, Kanagi realizes his head would have totally popped. Meanwhile, Midori stares at his own hand, looking confused. He did not feel any killing intent from the kid, so he is actually wondering if he miscalculated his own punching force. Panic sets in. He will absolutely die if this continues. Desperate, he tries, remembering the exact feeling of his fully powered self. An insane aura explodes, catching even Midori off guard. Trust me, you absolutely need to see what comes next. Stick with me here. Kanagi charges again, moving so incredibly fast that the students scream cameras cannot track him anymore. Midori instantly notices the shift. He wonders if this insane power needed a specific trigger or if Kanagi was just holding back. Another 10 seconds tick by, and this time around, Midori decides to strike him much lighter. He drops low, prepping another finger flick, but switches it up last second and just taps Kanagi right in the chest. That simple blow sends our guy crashing violently into a wall. Coughing up blood, he is completely blown away. He is literally going toe-to-toe with the strongest awakened on the entire planet. Kanagi knows for a fact that if he still had yesterday's weak body, that one hit would have instantly ended his life. That thought does not scare him, though it makes him grin, proving he is actually getting stronger. Still, our main character knows he is just not powerful enough to pass yet. Forcing himself back to his feet, he rushes Midori again. But suddenly, Midori appears right beside him and Kanagi just freezes completely. Midori casually apologizes, saying he has seen absolutely enough. The 30 seconds are officially up. He chops our protagonist right in the back of the neck, and Kanagi slowly blacks out, collapsing. Midori notes the kid is a genius, just not on that elite tier yet. In the end, the main character just could not summon that crazy aura Midori felt earlier. Midori calls his secretary, telling her they are heading out. Midori looks seriously disappointed by this whole result, but right at that exact moment, Kanagi grips his sword. Instantly, Midori feels this absolutely terrifying aura erupting behind him. He turns around and sees raw power just pouring off Kanagi. Now watch closely. Hananoi speaks right through the protagonist, saying the stubborn kid is asleep, so he is taking over. He steps up, telling Midori to keep this fight going. The main character's spirit gets literally shoved out of his own body, and he completely panics seeing Hananoi taking the wheel. Midori just smiles though, finally realizing this is that overwhelming presence from earlier. He wonders if it is a whole different person or some broken skill. Either way, one fact is absolute right now. Kanagi is a complete monster. With Hananoi driving, he instantly attacks, yelling at Midori to stop spacing out, and Midori immediately notices the insane difference. The raw power, speed, and fluid movements have all skyrocketed to another tier. A blade suddenly slashes toward Midori's face, forcing him to barely duck. Kanagi goes in for another massive swing, making Midori jump backward to create distance. Visibly surprised, Midori watches the protagonist prep another lightning-fast strike. The next slash comes in hot, but Midori drops low just in time, making the hit slam straight into the building behind him. The students inside totally panic, realizing just how dangerously close that attack was. Midori realizes Kanagi's heavy swings are incredibly hard to read now, even though he can still barely track their flow. Hananoi laughs out loud, flexing that this is the exact kind of high-tier skill needed to beat an S rank. Midori raises a hand, planning to knock the protagonist out cold one more time, casually pointing out that only 40 seconds have even passed. But Hananoi bursts forward with absolutely insane speed, swinging wildly and shouting that Midori cannot touch him. Midori leaps back to dodge, laughing, genuinely impressed by this combat skill. Seeing this, the students cannot believe Midori is actually being pushed on defense, while the protagonist calls him totally boring and tells him to stop holding back. He warns Midori not to look down on him or he will get wrecked. Then he dives right back in without a single second of hesitation. Midori just laughs and totally agrees. With one quick kick, he launches a stone flying straight toward the pile of weapons behind him. The weapons launch into the air instantly, and he leaps up completely, catching Kanagi off guard before snatching a weapon from above. The main character lights up, hyped that Midori is finally getting serious. They violently crash together in midair, foot against foot, leaving the students completely shell-shocked. Both grab whatever weapons they can reach, completely shattering them apart with pure raw force. Inside Kanagi's body, the founders watch Hananoi go all out. They are seriously impressed that Midori can keep up. The old man's spirit wants in on the action, but another founder snaps at him for being tactless. The great wizard stays perfectly quiet, realizing he is actually watching Hananoi's swift movements and trying to copy them. He clearly watches Hananoi shift his balance as he springs back up from below. But the sword in his hand snaps again. Completely annoyed by the weak weapon, Hananoi gets super angry, while Midori is just having an absolute blast. Then he notices there are 0 swords left, casually wondering if Kanagi will switch to using guns. Grinning widely, Midori yells out that only 10 seconds remain, asking what Hananoi plans to do. In response, Hananoi looks at the building behind him and leaps straight for it. He charges straight toward the guy who shoved Kanagi earlier and just violently snatches his sword. Right then, Midori closes the gap, throwing a massive punch at Hananoi. The blast hits the building with a deafening boom, but Hananoi dodges just in time, appearing right in front of him. They dive right back into their insane mid-air combat exchange. Midori yells out that this is incredibly fun, suggesting they keep fighting a bit longer. Meanwhile, the terrified students finally realize the entire building is about to collapse. As their epic clash reaches the rooftop, Midori's secretary just watches calmly. Midori slams his hand onto a massive ventilation fan, gripping it so hard the metal actually cracks. He rips it entirely free and points it right at Hananoi. He hurls it, but Hananoi uses an EI-style sword art to cut right through it. The fan bursts into tiny pieces. Midori praises him, and trust me, you and I are not ready for what comes next. Stick with me here. Hanoki wastes 0 time hurling his sword at Midori. But shocker, the blade completely shatters on impact. Midori just raises a hand, takes aim, and casually announces 60 seconds are up. Boom. He drops Hanoki with a massive palm strike. Hanoki clicks his tongue. But before he even twitches, Kanagi leaps onto his back, shoving him right toward the other founders. The attack comes rushing in, but our main character smoothly deflects it to the side, dodging a direct hit. A crazy deflection absolutely stuns Hanoki and Midori, but the raw impact instantly snaps one of Kanagi's hands. He does not care though. Staying locked on target, he throws a punch straight at Midori's face. Deep inside, their power clash feels totally endless. It is a vicious struggle for just one tiny opening. A high-stakes chess match between two absolute equals. Despite that insane intensity, Hanoki knows it all happened in a split second. Watching with pure pride, he sees Kanagi forcing a totally new path to victory. Get this, our guy is totally stunned when Midori casually stops the punch right at the end. He feels completely crushed, assuming he actually failed. Then Midori just smirks. He pulls Kanagi's fist all the way into his own cheek and actually gives him full credit for the hit. Without skipping a beat, he announces a pass. A single second later, both of them just completely collapse. Now watch closely. The students can only mutter in total confusion, completely unable to process what just happened. Still, carrying our passed-out hero, Midori calls for his secretary, Ren, saying it is finally time to leave. She pops up and immediately asks for the results. Midori confirms he passed, openly admitting the kid is super interesting. Then he casually mentions he accidentally snapped his arm and needs her to fix it. She agrees instantly. The surrounding students overhear the news and literally cannot believe he actually managed to pass. And then it really sinks in. He actually punched Midori. Massive cheers erupt everywhere, and all that crazy noise finally wakes him up. As Ren heals the damage, she warns him to stay put. He obeys, thanking her while she drops a quick congratulations for the big win. Still completely dazed, he sits up asking if that hit really connected. Before his brain even catches up, an amused Midori just suddenly appears right beside him. He does not drag things out. Midori just flat out declares that a pass is a pass. He admits things got serious once our guy refused to stop attacking. Midori actually gives huge praise, saying dodging his best strike like that was beyond impressive. He tells him to be genuinely proud. Hearing that, our hero finally calms down and just takes the massive compliment. But then he shifts gears instantly. He looks up and asks the million-dollar question, what exactly happens now? That completely catches Ren off guard, looking at Midori, who seems totally clueless too. Cut to later that night. Our guy is home helping mom clean while dinner cooks. She casually asks how many guests to expect. Still totally unsure, he just mutters that it might only be one. His mom smiles, calling it a massive day. He passed the crazy hunter exam and somehow caught the legendary Midori's attention. She says she always knew he could achieve absolutely anything with hard work. He just quietly absorbs her sweet words, really feeling that support. But then panic sets in. She worries about a celebrity visiting their tiny place, joking the guy might actually mistake it for a doghouse. He quickly shoots that down, saying Midori is definitely not like that. You and I are probably wondering the same thing here. He flops onto his bed, staring at Midori's card, and serious doubt starts creeping into his mind. Why on earth is this overpowered legend acting so casual? His thoughts drift right back to earlier, remembering when Ren literally twisted Midori's leg post-battle. He vividly remembers Midori screaming loudly while Ren totally snapped at him. Earlier, Midori claimed that by winning the fight, he basically agreed to become one of his official comrades. Totally confused, our guy denied agreeing to anything, causing an annoyed Ren to twist that leg even harder. With way too many eyes watching them, Midori suggested crashing his house tonight to talk properly. He promised to fully explain his choices and reveal who their true enemies actually are. Who even are these enemies? The founders already wrecked the tower, and hunters literally exist just to handle the random monsters spilling out of the dimensional crack. He suspects some massive hidden plot, but exhaustion wins and he quickly falls asleep. A massive shout from Hanoki suddenly jolts him wide awake. He spots Hanoki and the other founders just chilling in his bedroom. Super confused, he demands answers, but Hanoki vaguely claims they just finished up a private chat. Completely lost, he yanks the covers up nervously, asking if they finally decided who gets his body. Before anyone can even reply, the doorbell suddenly rings. Assuming it is Midori, he quickly apologizes and promises to talk later. He steps out toward the door, but the heavy darkness feels entirely wrong. Then his heart drops. His mother is completely collapsed on the floor. Panicking, he rushes forward, screaming her name, but freezes when he spots someone lurking in their kitchen. Some stranger is just sitting there eating her food, casually praising the meal, like nothing bad happened. Trust me, you and I are about to hate this guy. Smirking, he mockingly claims they need better training and higher quality food for guests. Furious, he demands to know who this psycho is and what he did to his mother. The stranger absolutely does not care. Stick with me here, this guy tells him to shut up, introducing himself as Haitani Goru, an S-rank hunter and Midori's teammate. Then he casually orders him to grab his bags. They are heading straight to base. Our hero is furious. He throws a massive punch, but Haitani just dodges, teleports behind him, and asks if he really wants to pick a fight. Silence. He thinks about his mom promising to raise him proudly all by herself after his dad died. He remembers her worn-out shoes and how she told him to buy nice new sneakers for himself instead. He even recalls her congratulating him earlier, promising to cook his favorite tonkatsu for dinner. Glaring at Haitani, our guy demands to know what happened to his mom. Meanwhile, Hanoi closely recognizes Haitani as an S-rank hunter from the past era. Annoyed by this cheap Midori knockoff, he decides it is time to act. After watching Kanagi battle Midori, the founders finally know exactly how to handle him from now on. Haitani just laughs, mocking him. He says that angry face is actually cute, then raises a hand to slap him, but our hero does not even flinch. He stays completely calm. At the very last second, Kanagi grabs Haitani by the wrist and easily flips him away, leaving the old founder totally shocked. He recognizes that move from ancient monster wars. Suddenly, Haitani flies through the window, crashing into the backyard wall. But somehow he lands perfectly and walks forward like absolutely nothing happened. Trying to process this, he wonders, was that Aikido? Remembering Kanagi's match with Midori, he realized the kid had huge aura sword skills and another weird hidden power. Our hero quickly realizes Haitani is way tougher than Hazaki. Now you need to watch this. Out of patience, he demands answers about his mom, who is still inside, shaking in pure agony as the poison spreads. Haitani just laughs, claiming Kanagi has absolutely no clue what is happening. And he confesses the truth: his mom was simply in the way, so he knocked her out with poison. Smirking, Haitani adds, if she is lucky, the damage might be minor. He coldly replies he does not understand, leaving Haitani looking totally confused. He asks a simple question: why hurt the family of someone you want as a teammate? Haitani just laughs at the word teammate. He suddenly teleports behind him to strike, but Kanagi barely dodges, but Haitani keeps attacking. He says the kid was never meant to be a comrade, just a puppet forced to obey once his family became hostages. He calls him a naive fool. Before our hero can even respond, Haitani stomps his foot, slashes him and sneers, asking if he was right. Kanagi jumps back suddenly, feeling his cheeks start to burn. Touching it, he realizes the poison is spreading fast. Grinning, Haitani reveals the toxic needles on his fingers, bragging that it is already inside him. He explains his skill, Phantom Bug Poison Deadly Vision, which lets him create dozens of lethal toxins directly from his own body. He complains this job is annoying. Honestly, he could blanket 5 kilometers in toxic gas, but doing that in a crowded city is impossible. Then he warns Kanagi the poison will kill him in 1 minute unless he joins them and takes the antidote. Otherwise, he just dies. You and I both know how deadly this toxin is for normal people. Escaping it is completely impossible. Looking at his hand, he casually calls out to Valentine, the god of medicine, asking if she is inside. Other founders slowly turn toward Valentine, who looks completely startled and confused. Kanagi apologizes for the sudden summon and asks if she can teach him the poison cure later. Flustered, the goddess just agrees. Highly annoyed, Haitani tosses more poison at him, demanding to know what nonsense he is mumbling about. Dodging easily, our hero casually explains that his Aikido move actually came from one of the gods living inside him. The old man is stunned, realizing the kid copied his technique after seeing it just once. Then he summons 10,000 Army Slasher, Hanoi, Blue Spear of Destruction, Shimakokus, and Heavenly Bow Margot. He explains he learned and memorized all their techniques perfectly from the records. He tells Haitani the founders he once admired actually live inside his own body. Haitani is speechless. But instead of backing down, he snaps. Furious, he screams that he will make Kanagi suffer, rushing in with his toxic needles ready to strike. Our guy jumps away just in time. Haitani strikes a tree, and it instantly withers and dies. He attacks again, screaming that if Kanagi kneels and begs, he might get an antidote for the pain. Once the agony hits, his mind will completely break forever. But our hero just silently waits for the perfect moment. Right as Haitani reaches him, he slides aside and presses a palm into his chest with the fist of Saint Wantak. The devastating blow makes Haitani cough up, blood shocking Wantak inside him. The impact blasts Haitani straight into a streetlight. Kanagi immediately follows up with a heavy kick using the Feet of Light Aelor, sending him flying farther. Aelor is stunned, but Haitani instantly gets up, striking with both hands again. Trust me, you and I are sticking around for round 2 of this madness. You and I are about to watch Kanagi slide right past those needles and stab Haitani with that sharp beak coral. Boom, he slashes with the dragon's claw. Even Rowan is sitting inside him, completely shocked. Haitani tries grabbing him, but our guy whips out Lele's flipper and launches him. Haitani is tumbling through the air, totally confused. That poison should have completely wrecked Kanagi's mind and fried his nerves by now. But nope, he is still fighting at absolute max power. Then the protagonist activates the Magus of Truth, Melta Sentius, blasts Haitani with a massive wave. Everyone is stunned. Hananoi asks the founders, "Did you see that?" He points out that, while crushing Haitani, Kanagi started copying all their physical and magical moves. Forget the crest of nothingness, this kid is way too interesting. The founders agree, and Hananoi says, "Train him. Seriously, Kanagi could become the strongest awakener alive." Meanwhile, hooded assassins are racing across rooftops. One of them yells to hurry up. Noir's guilds are hunting him, so they have to reach him first. Suddenly, Midori casually pops up right behind the guy and asks, "Are there really that many?" The assassin freezes cold. Midori just sighs, saying if there are 15 of them, this guy is the last. He points, flips him, and slams him into the roof. Midori uses Raven's call to contact Ren. She picks up instantly, confirming she arrived, and no awakeners are left in the area. But pay attention here because she adds something completely wild. Midori stays dead silent. Ren explains that Hatani, the S-rank poison user, came for Kanagi and got absolutely flattened. Midori just stares at the roof where Hatani is laid out with his jaw dropped, wondering what on earth happened. Fast forward, they arrive at the protagonist's house. Midori is grinning, praising him. He never expected our guy to drop an S-rank hunter. Then he quickly asks if the poison did any damage. MC just rubs his cheek awkwardly. He and his mom are perfectly fine. Kanagi crosses his arms, admitting without Valentine he absolutely would have died tonight. Hearing her name, Valentine groans, looking super exhausted. Kanagi praises her anyway. Whipping up a cure in 5 seconds is insane, Valentine just shrugs. Since the poison maker was knocked out right there, she literally just took his blood and made an antidote. Midori breathes out, apologizing for his late arrival. He has already set up defenses against the guilds hunting Kanagi over today's viral video. Trying to process everything, Kanagi asks the big question. Was Hatani actually lying about being Midori's partner? Midori nods instantly. Tons of random people use his name just to get ahead. With that settled, he asks Ren if her job is done. Right on cue, she appears and confirms all the property damage is fixed. The protagonist just stares at his house in total shock. The broken window and backyard wall are perfectly restored. I know what you're thinking. Time to discuss the future, Midori smiles, leaving MC caught between pure excitement and worry. The very next day, a car is waiting. His mom asks if he forgot anything but Kanagi, promises he is fine, and she worries too much. She can hardly believe her little boy is actually moving into Midori's place. But Midori had already promised her he would protect him and make him a legendary hunter. That promise gets the protagonist super pumped. His mom is clearly anxious, but hides it, handing him a packed lunch since he skipped his breakfast. He doesn't even need the food, but he takes it anyway. She looks right at Midori, asking if her boy will be in danger. Midori says yes, straight up. She sighs, admitting Kanagi had it rough his whole life, so trusting someone else is huge. But as his mom, she can't help worrying. Midori confidently swears to train MC until he has zero weaknesses. Hearing that she finally officially entrusts him, once they hit the road, Ren, who's driving, asks Midori if making a heavy promise like that was smart since the future is totally unknown. Glancing in the rearview mirror, Midori watches Kanagi's mom shouting some last-second advice at them. She is yelling about how to wash his clothes and warning him not to sleep naked. Seeing all that pure mom energy, Midori quietly hardens his resolve to deliver. Meanwhile, our boy fights back the tears during his final goodbye. Before leaving, his mom demands he come home for New Year's. As they drive away, Midori checks on him. MC admits he was holding back some serious emotions there. Midori just leans back, telling him to chill out, eat his food, or get some sleep. The protagonist glances over at the lunchboxes his mom packed. He opens one up, still replaying her words in his head. He finds a good luck note on the pork cutlet. And honestly, you and I both know that tiny message hits right in the feels. You and I know this feeling. Thinking about everything his mom sacrificed, he holds back tears and just starts eating. Ren and Midori exchange a quiet look. They say absolutely nothing, letting him have his emotional moment during the drive. Arriving at the massive anti-prophecy headquarters leaves Kanagi completely speechless. Midori casually drops that barely any awakeners ever get inside. The gravity of the situation hits him hard. Our main character is totally overwhelmed by what he just signed up for. Up above, a mysterious guy by the window watches them. Without even looking back, he announces the newbies have arrived. A deadpan girl questions if this whole fuss is for a rookie. A smirking young dude points out they rarely get fresh meat here. But the guy nearby isn't convinced. He flat out says they need to test if this kid is actually worthy of anti-prophecy. Back outside, Kanagi freezes up. His brain is spinning, trying to figure out what this squad actually does, and its connection to the Ichihara Guild. Seeing him totally lost, Ren quickly apologizes for keeping him in the dark. She basically says she couldn't spill beans in front of his mom. This stuff is a top national secret. Heavy truth hits him like a truck. Heading inside, Midori casually suggests dropping off the luggage at the dorms. Ren offers a hand, but Kanagi insists on carrying his own bags. Suddenly, a sharp voice yells at them to wait, making him jump. Looking up, he spots that same young guy from the window. The dude boldly volunteers to explain everything himself. Watch closely now, he dives straight down with a brutal flying kick. Our boy instinctively blocks, but the sheer impact completely shatters the ground beneath him. The shockwave rattles his bones, but he stays standing. Impressed, the guy actually praises his reflexes. Totally confused and breathless, Kanagi demands to know who he is. Landing gracefully, the attacker introduces himself as Hanada Hikotaru. He claims he is an anti-prophecy member, and surprisingly his new comrade. Before Kanagi's brain can even reboot, Hinata casually states he is here for orientation. Midori, not bothered in the slightest. He casually asks Ren for some tea, and she literally pours him a cup mid-brawl. Sipping his tea, Midori calmly asks what Hinata is doing. Hinata smirks, claiming 2 goals. First, an explosive welcome to anti-prophecy. Second, a combat test. Naturally, this just makes our guy sweat even more about this insane exam. Bam! Hinata launches another lightning-fast kick. Our hero instantly crosses his arms and firmly holds his ground. While attacking, Hinata casually drops lore about how the unit was founded. I know what you are thinking. Who drops history lessons mid-fight? Yeah, our boy can barely believe it either. Mid-assault, Hinata randomly pauses just to ask for his name. He immediately blurts it out, Kanagi Manato. Meanwhile, Midori keeps sipping tea mentally counting how many insane tests Kanagi has survived lately. The Academy Midori, an S rank, and now this brawl. He glances at Ren, wondering if the kid is just doomed to endless brutal evaluations. Ren says, it is unavoidable. The kid is the special talent Midori personally scouted. Hinata spams kick after brutal kick, which Kanagi desperately blocks. Suddenly, the attacker demands to know a hunter's true purpose. Our guy fires back immediately. Their job is simple: slay monsters crawling out of dimensional cracks. Hinata actually gives a thumbs up, agreeing completely. He calls it basic pest control, then drops low and asks a brand new question. What dangers exist outside the cracks? That totally derails Kanagi, and he questions what that even means. Dropping the jokes, Hinata gets dead serious. He claims there are threats way worse than simple dimensional cracks. He name-drops legendary nightmares like the Pandemonium 10,000 Demons Castle and that massive Kyushu outbreak from 5 years ago. Kanagi immediately recognizes those world-ending disasters, but before he can even speak, Hinata aggressively charges him again. Pure instinct kicks in and he blocks. Still, the raw force sends him heavily skidding backward. Hinata actually praises his history knowledge. He promises Kanagi will learn the dark details once his official academy training kicks off. He barely steadies his footing when Hinata teleports right above him. A terrifying axe kick comes crashing straight down. He dodges just in time. The foot obliterates the ground, literally snapping a massive nearby tree right in half. Stunned by that monstrous power, Kanagi freezes. Hinata just straightens up and keeps talking. Those tragedies, like the ancient Tower of Malevolence, weren't just random natural disasters. They were literal invasions from another dimension entirely. Kanagi struggles to process this. This isn't just old history, it's still threatening their modern world today. Stepping closer, Hinata admits he is frustrated. He seriously wonders why modern Awakeners are so much weaker than the original Tower legends. Almost nobody matches the founders now. So what do you and I take from this? Kanagi finally asks the real question, what exactly are they supposed to do? Let's dive right in. Hinata drops the truth: the anti-prophecy unit exists because you can't tell the public about these threats. They only warn the absolute elite who can actually handle it. And guess who those elites are? The anti-prophecy unit. Midori and Ren just smile. It clicks for him, their job is stopping these prophecies before they even happen. Then Hinata hits him with the big news. Starting today, he is officially one of them. Since he is literally the first guy to block Hinata's kicks repeatedly, Hinata holds out a hand and officially welcomes him. Kanagi shakes it while the others clap. Then Hinata calls out to the rest of the Awakeners, who silently appear right above the building. He asks what their plan is, but they just stare at him and vanish, leaving Kanagi completely shocked. Midori jokes that they act totally like villains, but Hinata figures they just wanted to check out the new guy for themselves. Hinata tells Midori he has the rest of this handled, and Midori happily heads off. Hinata grabs the main character's luggage offering to show him straight to his new dorm room. Our guy is super thankful. That night, he can't stop thinking about this crazy new squad he joined. A whole organization built to fight the future. Did the founders face this same crisis back in the Tower Age? Is he really fighting against some kind of pre-written doom? The thought stresses him out, but suddenly a voice tells him to drop the anxiety and just focus on his training. Now watch this. He jumps, turning around to see Hinoki and the legendary founders in his room. Kanagi apologizes for going quiet, but Hinoki stops him. The founders made a choice. They are going to train him into the ultimate awakener, just like Midori. With these legends backing him, he could literally become history's strongest awakener. An official disciple. Kanagi is totally floored. He stammers out, asking if they seriously want him as their student. Hinoki nods, yes, calling it a great idea. Haninoi jokes it might start a literal battle royale among the founders, making Kanagi panic and beg them not to fight. Haninoi admits it kind of started like that, but after keeping a close eye on him, they completely changed their minds. Instead of hijacking his body for their own agenda, they actually got super interested in just training him. Hinoki points out his fight with the poison user. He copied every single move, even if he lacked the raw power to match it. Still, his ability to master the basics is insanely fast. Haninoi asks if Kanagi grasps how huge that is, guessing it connects straight to his rare crest of nothingness. But honestly, his crazy learning speed is the real prize. Hananoi admits that talent might beat any gift the founders ever had. We all feel this moment. Tears well up as he remembers every disappointed look from his old trainers, the people who called him talentless. Until this very second, absolutely nobody expected anything from him. It feels completely unreal, especially after being treated like absolute trash and bullied just for failing the hunter test 3 times. He remembers classmates laughing, telling him to just give up. Heck, people barely even remembered his actual name, nobody believed in him, and he got used to the disrespect. But now, 2 absolute legends, Midori and Hananoi, actually believe in his potential. Getting that kind of respect feels surreal, and Kanagi honestly wonders if he even deserves to be this happy. For years, he idolized them from way far away. He never imagined they would actually put their faith in him. Seeing the kid tear up, Hananoi walks right over, flashes a smile, and puts a comforting hand on his shoulder, telling him to breathe. Then comes the crazy truth. Their souls live inside him, especially when he sleeps, letting him enter a space totally outside normal time and distance. So, the hardcore training plan begins. Every single afternoon, he grinds with the anti-prophecy unit. At night, the lessons continue in his dreams. Goodbye, peaceful sleep. But honestly, he is totally ready. He accepts their offer, instantly ready to follow their lead. The night fades, and morning finally hits. Over in the bathroom, Hinata is washing up at the sink when our guy walks in. They share a quick, sleepy greeting. His exhausted face says everything. He admits the brutal routine is destroying him, and Hinata totally gets it, remembering his own early dorm struggles. But suddenly, Hinata notices something very strange. A crazy strong aura leaks off him, demanding attention. Pure instinct takes over, and Hinata launches a lightning-fast kick at him. He just casually ducks, spits out the water, and dodges the strike like it is absolutely nothing. Then he just walks away, grumbling that he has zero energy for morning fights, and heads to the cafeteria. Hinata is left completely speechless. That kick was faster than yesterday, but the kid still dodged it like it was in slow motion. Later in the cafeteria, Hinata spots a woman eating fruit and asks to sit with her. She gives him a super short yes. That's where we leave it. Hinata motions him over. You and I remember her from yesterday, one of Hinata's actual teammates. Alright, stick with me here. She stays totally cold, making it super obvious she doesn't want him around. Even so, he politely introduces himself. She shuts him down instantly. She literally couldn't care less about his name and definitely won't bother remembering it. Pointing her fork right at his face, she tells him to prove himself before she learns his name. Until then, training comes first. Plus, he's tagging along on a crazy mission to stop an actual prophecy. This prophecy traces back to 1945, a book buried 3,000 meters deep in Antarctic ice. The Book of Doom. The handwriting looked like a kid's, but the contents absolutely terrifying. 80 years later, the planet would get hit by massive attacks and endless disasters. The warning was huge enough to put the entire world on high alert. During the ride, she asks why people actually believe it. He pauses for a second, glancing over at her. He still doesn't even know her name. Before he can even ask, she snaps that names don't matter. Answer the question. He guesses the prophecies are always right, but she shuts that down fast. She literally mocks him. Is he stupid? If even one event from the Book of Doom happens, it is game over for the entire world. That completely shocks him. Keeping the conversation going, he asks Hinata how many prophecies there actually are. Hinata casually says around 200. Hearing that, he seriously wonders if they are already totally doomed, but Midori explains they've already stopped nearly 180 of them. He's amazed but still super confused. So, why does everyone trust this book? She explains an explorer named Bernard Russell found the Book of Doom. When Bernard opened it, the very first page said, "Hello Bernard," then listed the exact time he found it. March 17, 1945, 11:35 a.m. on a sunny day. That was all the proof humanity needed. Now, pay close attention. Hours later, they hit Tokyo's Sumo Ward, where a mid-level dimensional crack just opened. Guards quickly block them, calling it restricted. They sprint past so fast, the guards are just left staring. He nervously asks if this is okay, and Hinata just nods. She immediately breaks down the bigger danger ahead. Massive disasters like World War II, the dark side of the moon, pandemics, and the floating trees are all treated as extreme emergency cases. Midori actually stopped the worst one, the pandemonium outbreak. Plus, the Book of Doom is famous, but it's just one of many grimoires scattered worldwide. That's why the anti-prophecy unit exists. Gather info, study the predictions, and crush the threats before they even happen. They handle different threat levels. Rank 3 can literally wipe out entire regions. Rank 2 is a national crisis, and Rank 1 planet ending. As he listens, the horrifying truth finally sinks in. Freaking out, he asks if these insane missions are all on them now. She calmly replies, "Welcome to the anti-prophecy unit." Soon after, Kisaragi and his squad spot them crossing the yellow tape and rush straight over. Assuming they're just clueless civilians, Kisaragi orders them back. It is way too dangerous here. She completely ignores him. Today's prophecy is a Rank 3 case. Sure, it looks like a standard B-rank gate, but it's actually a massive rank 3 disaster known as Yellow Journal. She knows it's about to expand fast. You see where this is going, right? Suddenly the rift tears completely open and Kisaragi watches in absolute horror as monsters start flooding out. He screams for his squad to get ready, but it's useless. The monsters instantly crush them, tearing right through his men. Pure panic sets in. Even his B and C rank hunters are getting totally slaughtered. Then comes something worse, the suffocating aura of a boss monster. Seeing the newcomers step up, Kisaragi desperately tries to hold them back. She completely ignores him, slams her hand on the ground and casts Trismegistus. Instantly, massive spears erupt from the earth, brutally skewering the monsters. Kanagi jumps into the chaos too. He blurs across the battlefield at insane speeds, dropping enemies with perfectly clean strikes. Kisaragi is speechless. He thought his S-rank strength was impressive, but these two are completely on another level. She orders Kisaragi back. To them, he is the civilian. He sees her hand mark and freezes. They aren't random hunters, they are government agents. Suddenly, a massive hand bursts through the crack, tearing it wide open. A towering beast steps through. An absolute monster way beyond S-rank, unleashing a suffocating pressure. She charges straight at it. Kisaragi screams at her to stop being reckless, but she ignores him. The dynamic duo attacks together completely fearless. Kanagi launches a brutal combo of kicks at the beastmen, only to realize in absolute shock, 0 damage. Its anti-physical armor completely blocks the hits. He jumps back as the monster lunges at the woman. She charges up a massive counter, but Kanagi instantly flashes between them, catching the beast's attack bare-handed. Trust me, you'll love this. The beastman explodes. Everyone is stunned when Hinata realizes it was a penetration shock. Stick with me here because Kanagi just wiped out an S+ rank monster in one hit. Hinata realizes his power level absolutely skyrocketed overnight. She yells that he overdid it, but Kanagi knows the drill. The best way to shatter a monster with insane physical defense, break it down completely from inside out. He picked this up last night from Wok, the fist saint who taught him how penetration attacks work. Kanagi turns to the girl and grins. Since he just saved her life, the least she could do is drop her name. She brightens up, her name is Akane. But the sweet moment gets cut short. Hinata immediately powers up his body and charges headfirst into the next enemy wave spilling from the crack. Akane follows up, splashing the monsters with liquid mercury before detonating them with her Mercurius reject skill. Pushing forward together, they realize Kanagi was absolutely right. Busting these guys from the inside is super effective. Hyped for more, Akane signals Hinata, and they both sprint directly toward the dimensional crack. Kisaragi just watches them in pure disbelief. He knows that crack leads to a totally different dimension packed with terrifying unknown threats. Watch closely because what they do next is wild. They dive straight through the crack without thinking twice. Left surrounded by dead grunts, one sudden thought hits him hard. Those two must be from that rumored secret squad. Meanwhile, inside the rift, a massive monster swarm waits. Akane raises her hand, noticing these are exactly like the ones outside. Instantly, she summons a brutal storm of mercury spears, pinning the horde down completely. Running past, Kanagi catches her technique and realizes her raw power is totally insane. No wonder she is the top area fighter in the anti-prophecy unit. After wiping out the mob, Akane stares down a massive bear monster. Right as she moves to strike, Hinata leaps in front, dodging massive claws swinging at his head. Bouncing onto the roof to avoid the hit, Hinata starts raining down, lightning-fast kicks from everywhere. Kanagi watches, chuckling at the smooth moves of Hinata, but then freezes. He suddenly rushes the bear himself, totally copying that exact same kick combo. He smirks, asking Hinata how his form looked. Stunned for a second, Hinata just grins. Taking the beast down, they push forward. But Akane notices something weird. The deeper they go, the emptier it gets. They step into a massive arena zone. Suddenly, an insanely heavy pressure drops on them. Something huge is about to show up. You and I both felt this boss fight coming, right? A furious giant minotaur crashes down before them. This blind minotaur packs triple S rank power. Even Hinata and Kanagi are completely shook by its sheer terrifying size. Akane stays cool, wondering if this big guy is really the boss. Instantly, countless spears shoot out from her portal. She yells at the boys to drop their strongest moves, claiming she will finish it. Hinata instantly charges his energy up. Hanging back, Kanagi watches them flex in awe. But he has a gut feeling their attacks will fall short. Hinata cannot believe the main character is doubting them. Suddenly, even while tanking heavy magic, the beast wildly swings its weapon. The strike shatters the ground, carving out a massive crater and blasting shockwaves everywhere. As the dust settles, they freeze in terror. This monster ate their ultimate attacks without a single scratch. They prep for round 2, but as Kanagi braces for impact, a voice starts praising Akane. He recognizes it instantly. It is Killik, the ancient spirit of his founder. Killik, a legendary alchemist, says Akane has incredible purity and speed. Letting her die this young would be an absolute waste. He points out she tried her best, but this minotaur is way stronger than expected. His physical defense is literally maxed out at 100. Panicking Kanagi asks for help, but Killick just laughs. Meanwhile, Hinata and Akane are fighting for their lives. They seriously regret not bringing a heavy-hitting magic user. Akane looks over, totally shocked by the terrifying aura radiating off the main character. Kanagi just handed his body over to Killick. Hijacking his body, Killick casts Mercurius right on the Minotaur legs, completely locking the massive beast in place. Akane is absolutely speechless. She cannot believe he just copied her exact skill perfectly, using it to pin the boss down. Killick turns to Akane and straight up calls her foolish. He says she is too rigid, failing to control matter in all three forms, the true mark of an alchemist. While lecturing her, he floods the beast entirely with liquid mercury. Silver metal literally starts pouring from its mouth. Then he drops a brutal boiling spell. The mercury rapidly boils, literally cooking the monster from the inside out, while toxic vapor erupts. Breathing gets impossible, and Akane just stares in pure awe. Instead of raw power, Killick used pure temperature to break it. The Minotaur violently thrashes as its insides melt. While casting this deadly magic, Killick casually mentions he wants to take Akane as his personal student. Kanagi laughs it off. So what do you and I learn here? Never mess with boiling mercury because the boss drops completely dead. Alright, you and I are jumping right back in. The level 3 prophecy boss is destroyed. Mission accomplished. Akane just stares completely frozen. That overpowered technique the main character used, that should absolutely only belong to a top-tier Crest Awakener. So he is practically in Hiko's rank. Plus, his crazy alchemy skills are totally on par with hers. Still totally shaken up, she demands Kanagi's real identity. He just flashes a smirk, holding out his hand to introduce himself. Annoyed yet super curious, she reluctantly shakes it, promising to remember him. Watching our guy earn her respect makes Hinata grin. Outside, Kisaragi's entire squad is still waiting when that dimensional rift suddenly starts sealing shut. The trio jumps out right before it closes. Kanagi checks if they are finally done, and yeah, just a boring headquarters report is left. While they chat about what comes next, Kisaragi walks right up, completely grateful they saved his entire team. He promises not to pry about their identities or what happened inside. Akane says thanks, casually mentioning he should report their emblem. The higher-ups will totally understand what that means. Kisaragi offers future help as they finally leave. Akane just looks back. Nope, they likely will not ever meet again. He should go enjoy normal life. Hearing that Kisaragi gets it immediately. They live in a completely different, dangerous world he just can't touch. Cut to May 11th in N Prefecture. A wild red streak flashes through the village streets. A guard spots it, totally confused. Then bam, a massive, terrifying roar completely rips through the entire village. Back at headquarters, they step out. Akane nags about their report paperwork, but then Hinata's phone suddenly lights up with an urgent message. Now pay close attention because things get weird. Called straight to the headquarters lab post mission, they walk in and find two mysterious people waiting on stage. The other guy sits in the stands, coldly mocking Akane for taking so much time against a measly rank 3 disaster. Nagi instantly recognizes him. It is totally that obnoxious red-haired dude from earlier. Akane gets absolutely furious at his fake bossy attitude. Hinata quickly interrupts, asking Director Kurihara exactly why they were summoned to the lab. Man on stage is the actual director. Once everyone finally settles down, he fires up a video from the analysis squad. It shows a glowing red-hot charcoal chunk. The director explains it is actually a volcanic prophecy grimoire they have been studying heavily ever since finding it. Kanagi is totally baffled. How do you even read a burnt book? Pushing up his glasses, the director reveals that advanced AI and X-rays salvage some data. Most of it is still super blurry, but one terrifying clear prophecy directly targets Japan. Everyone is completely stunned. Akane, especially because they have absolutely never seen this crazy prophecy before. The director explains their research pulls in threat data from all over the entire globe, so totally unknown prophecies are insanely rare. This is different. The redhead immediately figures out what is happening. Their 4-man squad is investigating. The director agrees, saying the regular team is actually completely unavailable for this major crisis right now. Kanagi finally realizes that is exactly why Midori was missing earlier today. Director orders immediate deployment, promising to email the rest of the highly classified mission details. I know what you are thinking, another mission already. Our hero is shocked too, but the redhead smirks. He will adjust quickly. Clenching his fists, he senses a massive threat approaching. This time, the entire world might actually be at risk. Kanagi loudly slams the table, standing up to declare his team of 3 will absolutely handle this epic mission. Akane clearly hates him acting like the boss again. Heading out, the director drops a heavy warning stay alert because the true danger level is totally unknown. If the prophecy actually triggers, they have to wait for backup before trying anything reckless. In the car, Kanagi can't shake his deep unease about this upcoming mission. From the front seat, Suo tells everyone to rest, pointing out our hero literally just survived his first real mission. Akane stubbornly refuses out of pure pride, snapping that he can't order her around. Shockingly, Hinata and the main character instantly agree and completely pass out. Akane desperately fights to stay awake, but the exhausting night wins and she eventually crashes hard too. The car suddenly stops. Akane wakes up and realizes she is totally alone. Panicking, she sprints outside, finding the crew on a cliff staring at an eerie glow. The crazy sight leaves her completely speechless. An insanely massive magic circle covers the ground way bigger than anyone imagined. Hinata knows instantly this is a disaster. The prophecy is basically completely finished. Giant crystals lift trapped skeletons straight out of the earth, chilling everyone to the bone. They might already be too late. Those skeletons, they are the 23 missing villagers from the report. Suo says this perfectly matches a terrifying case from long ago. 30 years ago, the Wakayama mansion vanished, almost tearing open a rift. Suddenly, the giant pillar in the middle violently erupts with absolutely insane energy. Trust me, you aren't ready. Suo yells, move. All right, you and I are jumping right into the madness. Hinata draws his sword, asking what to do. Akane quickly shuts that down. The director said wait for orders. Then a massive aura explodes behind them. They spin around. Kanagi is practically glowing with pure energy, ready to brawl. Everyone immediately senses his crazy power-up, but Suo Zero panic. With a wild grin, he launches himself forward, yelling at them to keep up. They race right behind him, with Akane yelling not to be completely reckless. Rushing the magic circle, Hinata and the mage suddenly catch a scent they know way too well. Then the entire ground starts violently shaking. A giant hand rips right out of the earth. Hinata freezes. He totally recognizes that specific smell. It is the stench of a forbidden technique straight out of the scorching heat prophecy. Hinata explains the lore. Back in the Edo period, Bandu Shijima, the absolute boss of dark mages, pulled off a brutal massacre. The heroes eventually took him down, but an entire village got dragged into the total disaster with him. Shijima harvested the dead villagers, and their blood drawing up a massive magic circle to guarantee his comeback 1,000 years later. His master planned eat literally everyone and become the ultimate demon king. Before croaking, he left instructions on how to use living sacrifices. Cut to the present. Shijima is officially back as an unknown rank boss. His goal is obvious, finish the prophecy. But looking at his hands, he frowns hard. This revival gave him way less juice than expected. He wonders if the ritual lacked enough sacrifices, then just laughs to himself. Here is where it gets interesting, so watch closely. He realizes nothing changed after a millennium, spots our squad and just grins. Extra sacrifices. Flexing his dark arts, he drops a plate of yin, triggering an absolute massive explosion right under the squad. Kanagi watches in pure horror as his friends get swallowed by the blast. But as the dust settles, they are totally fine. The protagonist tenses up though. Another black circle spawns right where they landed, the dark art death realm. Hundreds of creepy spirits pour out, totally swarming and grabbing at Hinata and Akane. They struggle to break free, realizing Shijima is way stronger than anticipated. Mid-spell, Shijima suddenly senses someone right behind his back. It is Kanagi attempting a sneak attack. Shijima effortlessly dodges every single strike, calls the protagonist a total amateur, and drops a plate of yin below him. The ground completely shatters, but Shijima is mind-blown when Kanagi walks out untouched. He immediately fires back with Thunderbolt Haydad, but Shijima easily tanks it with dark energy. Still, he respects the skill choice. Suddenly, Suo appears through the smoke, popping his chrysanthemum skill to unleash a literal tornado of blades. Caught off guard, Shijima just leaps way up into the sky to dodge the storm. But while he is airborne, Suo chains another spell, proving he never thought a basic move would finish the job. Slamming his weapon down, he triggers Autumn, dropping a rain of daggers. Shijima just smirks, calling it pathetic falling leaves. His hand morphs into a giant sword. He strikes, and the massive impact sends Suo flying straight back. From that single exchange, Shijima assumes Suo has to be the heavy hitter of the group. You and I both know this looks bad. Watching from the sidelines, Kanagi realizes this guy is totally endless, honestly, feeling even stronger than the founders. While the main character is stressing over this, he suddenly hears loud shouting from behind. Turning around, he sees Akane and Hinata eating dark art blasts. They snap out of it and sprint at Shijima, who is fighting Suo. Without even blinking, Shijima casually spawns 3 skeleton demons to intercept the two. One blocks Hinata, who kicks it full force, but nothing happens. These bony freaks are literally as tanky as those giant minotaurs. Meanwhile, another skeleton demon steps right up and completely blocks Kanagi. Suo and Shijima just keep trading heavy blows, with Shijima totally mocking him that no backup is coming. Right as he says that, Suo slices clean across his shoulder coldly, stating he needs zero help. Pointing his weapon right at the demon, he tells him to back up, trusting absolutely nothing but his own skills. Bleeding from the cut, Shijima just starts laughing like an absolute maniac. He screams he does not need anybody either, vowing to devour them all, then charges Suo, who barely blocks a fatal hit. While Suo is struggling against the massive pressure, someone suddenly yells out from behind. It is Kanagi rushing right at him. Shijima is completely stunned since he literally sent a demon to stall him. He looks back, the others are still fighting, but his demon is completely split in half. Before Shijima can blink, Kanagi delivers a massive punch, straight to the face, dragging him across the dirt. Even Suo is totally shocked by the raw power. Our hero looks at him and says it is time to team up. Suo just freezes up. The others are still fighting, and trust me, you need to see what happens next. Stick with me here. The main character steps in offering help, but this guy's massive ego takes over. He flatly refuses, insisting he flies solo. He thinks he is untouchable. Kanagi is speechless, but before they can even argue, Shijima teleports in close. Boom, he unleashes Magatsu's breath, blasting a massive beam straight at them. Kanagi throws up a block, but the raw force just completely blows him away. He slams hard against a tree. Vision blurring, he starts blacking out completely. Dropping into darkness, he suddenly spots Hananoi and the mage in their spirit forms. Hananoi explains he passed out, dragging his consciousness straight into his inner mindscape. Despite agonizing pain tearing through his wrecked body, Kanagi forces himself up, begging them to send him back. Refuses to quit fighting. But before they reply, a deep commanding voice booms through the space, ordering him to sit this battle out. Back outside, Su is barely surviving Shijima's absolutely relentless attacks. Shijima smirks, praising Su for matching his lone wolf mindset. He grins, loving that shared twisted hunger to devour absolutely everything in sight. Channeling all his power into a single strike, Shijima cleanly shatters Su's sword in half. Shocked but quick, Su summons a brand new blade and swings hard. But Shijima bends backward, dodging with totally creepy flexibility. The more Su struggles, the more Shijima loves it. Now watch this carefully. Back in the spirit space, Kanagi hears Hananoi brutally admit Shijima is way out of his league. The mage agrees, calling Shijima's magic control genuinely terrifying. If more humans actually lived around here, he would have evolved into a demon king. She warns that stealing the main character's life force will massively power him up, dooming human civilization entirely. Finding that Grimoire was pure dumb luck, so Hananoi asks to borrow his body. They want to handle this crazy boss fight themselves, but shockingly, he straight up refuses. He apologizes, declaring that this isn't some training tutorial. This is reality. He needs to break through this huge wall entirely on his own, preparing for future battles. Looking dead serious, he asks if they understand. The mage starts protesting, but Hananoi just laughs out loud, interrupting her to say Kanagi has totally won them over. Clapping a hand on his shoulder, he reminds the kid of his promise to surpass the founders. He tells him to use every single thing he learned and fight his own style. That absolutely ignites a fire in him. Turning toward the battlefield, he asks the founders to watch closely. Then he sprints right back into the deadly clash between Shijima and Su. Su is barely standing. The exact second he opens his eyes, Shijima strikes fast, launching him high into the air. While he hangs airborne, Shijima charges up a devastating finishing blow. Su braces for impact, but someone catches him midair. Kanagi grabs Su and his blade, hurling him safely out of the way before Shijima's massive beam hits. Su crashes down hard. Shijima redirects his aim, firing another Magatsu's breath straight at the hero. But he completely freezes when Kanagi calmly uses Hananoi's legendary one-handed sword style. With absolute perfect focus, he slices cleanly through the energy beam, severing Shijima's arm off. I know, right? Shijima is left speechless, totally unable to process this. Trembling with absolute rage, the villain screams about his identity. But our hero coldly replies that he is the one surpassing the founders. Observing from the spirit world, the mage nervously asks if he can actually beat this dark magus. Honestly, even Hananoi has no clue, but he knows Kanagi is never reckless. Hananoi actually suspects he unlocked a new skill while just sleeping in the car earlier today. A massive grin spreads across his face, wondering if this kid mastered a technique even he can't comprehend. Su is totally stunned watching his incredibly smooth movements. Literally 5 minutes ago, he rejected this dude's help, and now that same help just saved his life. Kanagi relentlessly presses Shijima with non-stop strikes, forcing the villain to teleport back and cast the dark art pomegranate. A wild wave of energy blasts rushes him. He tries dodging but instantly realizes these things are homing missiles. No matter where he moves, the blasts follow. Suddenly, he remembers one of the founders' defensive skills, Aftershock. He violently stomps the ground, throwing up a huge stone wall in front of himself to block the attacks. Shijima is completely caught off guard, but quickly fires another barrage. Kanagi uses the shattered rock pieces as a makeshift shield. Spotting an opening, he combines two skills flashing directly behind Shijima. But the dark magus barely dodges the hit. He instantly counters with Plate of Yin, landing a huge blast on Kanagi. He takes the hit, but smartly absorbs most of the impact. Using a floating boulder as a stepping stone, he launches straight back at Shijima, perfectly channeling the founder's teachings. Shijima dodges again, but this wild combination of techniques leaves even him visibly shaken up. Watching from afar, the founders are absolutely mind-blown by his rapid growth and fierce attacks. But unfortunately, Shijima isn't done yet. With a deadly glare, he unleashes his forbidden art, manifesting a giant creature through skeleton fusion. This massive monster towers over everyone, radiating pure evil energy. Shijima smirks, declaring the end. But we know better. Let's dive right into this absolute bloodbath. A giant skeleton swings its massive hand at Kanagi. The founders are screaming to run, but he just stands there, realizing his maximum power still cannot beat Shijima. He desperately needs more power beyond all limits. Suddenly, he remembers his brutal training with Hinoki and the mage. He recalls the shining flame, the one-handed sword style, the wave blade, and every crazy/Hinoki drilled into his head. Mashing both lessons together, Kanagi directly channels the shining flame through his hand and completely ignites his sword into a blazing fiery blade. Hinoki and the mage are absolutely speechless. Our guy just pulled off the impossible. He grips that glowing powered-up weapon and gets dead serious. He just unlocked a completely broken move called Blazing Fire-Cutting Blade. Zero hesitation. He charges the giant skeleton and swings right as Shijima stares in total disbelief. By fusing Hinoki's sword mastery and the mage's pure magic, he shatters his own limits and totally engulfs that blade in roaring fire. One single slash perfectly cleaves the skeleton top to bottom, completely slicing Shijima in half right along with it. The crew is absolutely floored that he flawlessly fused two magic skills together. The alchemist founder is absolutely mind-blown. He calls our guy an irregular, totally shocked by how effortlessly he swaps and combos completely different skills. He never imagined anyone could fuse techniques that cleanly, and now he is dead certain this kid is hiding even crazier potential deep inside. Now, watch closely here. The alchemist vanishes, leaving Hinoki super confused, and the mage totally agrees. They seriously underestimated Kanagi. Honestly, for the first time ever, she starts questioning if raising an absolute monster like him was a horrible idea. Hinoki, meanwhile, is ridiculously hyped to see his absolute peak. Kanagi collapses to the ground, totally exhausted, but completely freezes up when Shijima's sliced body literally starts regenerating from a giant puddle of blood. Furious, Shijima snarls that one solid hit to his head would have actually finished him off. Pure dark energy surges into his hand, forming a literal death ball, as he aggressively declares he will finish this fight himself. But out of nowhere, Suen teleports right behind him and completely slashes his throat. Shijima literally loses his head before he can even blink. As the body drops, Suen quickly catches a fully blacked out Kanagi. Holding him close, Suen zones out into a painful childhood memory. Years ago, his older brother carried him exactly like this. It was a freezing night trapped under a bridge, and his brother desperately promised to find them some food by morning. Right as Suen started drifting off, they heard a massive loud parade passing directly above them. While people partied, they shivered down below on totally empty stomachs. That bitter memory reminds Suen exactly why he chose to be alone. Shijima tried weaponizing that isolation against him. But just looking at Kanagi right now, Suen finally realizes something huge. He is never truly alone, and even if he was, he could handle it. Suddenly, the giant energy barrier around them starts cracking wide open. You saw that too, right? Anson and Hana rush in, fully panicking over the unconscious hero. After a quick check, they realize he is just fully passed out. But then Hana notices the barrier breaking from the inside and warns everyone they need to run right now. She yells, asking what happens if that crazy energy blows outward. Sato just tightens his death grip on his sword and flatly says they would all be completely crushed. Their one and only shot is to strike with absolute full power and try to push it all back. He sounds totally confident, but deep down he has no clue if they can pull this off while injured. Still, zero other options exist. As everyone gears up, Kanagi is still completely out cold. Suddenly, he raises his blade and surges pure energy into it. Seto stares in absolute disbelief. Inside his head, Hinoki literally hijacked the wheel and is controlling his body. The second that barrier explodes, the whole squad unloads their absolute strongest attacks. While Hinoki unleashes his epic one-handed splitting cloud strike, a mysterious red-haired man sprints toward the danger zone with two random allies. His squad screams that the barrier is cracking. A single second later, it violently bursts wide open. The guys think they are totally too late, as a massive blinding blue beam shoots directly from Kanagi's sword straight into the clouds. The red-haired guy watches in pure awe, instantly recognizing it as a flawless sword technique with zero hesitation. This is Suo Makoto, captain of the elite anti-prophecy unit, wondering what kind of monster pulled this off. Later, cruising on a plane over Peru, Midori calls Makoto, completely amazed these rookie recruits somehow stopped the unknown prophecy. Meanwhile, back in Japan, Makoto casually stays on this call while literally fighting a deadly rank 1 prophecy. He warns it is way more dangerous than the last one. Also, Midori isn't inside the plane, he is literally lounging right on top of it. He flashes a huge smile, thinking about how insanely strong the anti-prophecy unit has become, even if he cannot witness the action in person right now. But that proud smile completely drops the second Makoto reveals who stopped it. The exact same rookie who joined the team literally 2 days ago. Totally stunned, Makoto furiously demands to know who this kid actually is. Midori answers without hesitation. Our guy is the one who will finally end all prophecies. They have been desperately waiting for someone exactly like him for a very long time. Makoto is super skeptical, asking if this wild faith is actually deserved. Instead of arguing, Midori simply tells him to watch the kid himself. Makoto then tells Midori to head back without him since fighting an equal-level boss is getting seriously rough. Midori just chuckles, drops a quick apology, and dives right back into the madness. Suddenly, Ren screams out in pure panic. They are staring down a truly massive prophecy boss. Trust me, we are not ready. The super-ranked suicidal infection boss Ishtam. The monster charges right at them. Midori yells at Makoto to hold on just a little bit longer, raising his hand to unleash massive divine wind turbulence. Snap to Kanagi, who jolts awake in a hospital bed, shouting his lungs out. A nurse rushes over quickly, calming him down and saying he finally woke up. Let's dive back in. He has been totally knocked out in the infirmary ever since that last mission ended. He realizes he completely blacked out. The guy slept so hard he missed his spatial realm training with the founders. Classic anime timing. The nurse promises he is fine, sliding the curtain open and telling him to holler if he needs a single thing. As the curtain moves, Kanagi spots So standing there with arms crossed, staring silently. Did this guy seriously wait by his bed the entire time? Glancing around, our main character notices Akane and Haneda are totally missing. So drops the news. They are training hard because they felt completely useless last time. Then he casually admits Kanagi's power was just on another level. Getting a compliment from Grumpy Sue leaves him totally speechless. But before he can even blink, Sue stands up and coldly demands his real identity. In less than 2 days, our guy soloed a rank 3 and maybe even a rank 1 boss. Plus, he used a crazy fusion spell Sue had never witnessed. So Sue pushes harder. Who is he exactly? And more importantly, how can he get that strong? Before Kanagi can even speak, Makoto strides into the room. He checks if this is the kid he wanted. Makoto nods, leaving So utterly shocked. His big brother actually came. Makoto walks right past Sue, basically ignoring him. Kanagi nervously stutters, asking if this scary guy is really Sue's brother. Now watch closely. The second he asks, Makoto draws his blade and swings it mere inches from everyone. Both of them are caught completely off guard, but Kanagi barely dodges the strike. He sweats, wondering if this is a crazy pop quiz. Makoto is actually impressed. A rookie dodged his attack. He smirks, confirming it was indeed a test, and Kanagi passed. He then introduces himself as the squad captain and older sibling So Makoto. Yep, it is confirmed. This absolute unit is Sue's big brother. After a heavy silence, Makoto drops a bomb. Because of Kanagi's insane performance against that rank 1 threat, he is joining his elite squad. Kanagi is absolutely speechless. But So, he is crushed. Pure, bitter jealousy hits him. Even as blood family, Sue never got invited to that squad. Makoto wastes zero time ordering the new kid to follow him for a briefing. Left behind, Sue clenches his fist so hard his knuckles literally bleed. Meanwhile, Akane and Haneda are grinding away. Akane aggressively attacks with multiple weapons, while Haneda desperately practices blocking them. Still, both of them know catching up to Kanagi feels totally hopeless. Suddenly, Midori strolls into the room, cheerfully announcing he brought exotic chocolate from Peru. Surprisingly, they completely ignore the sweets and sprint over to him, begging to know exactly how long he is staying. When he says just 1 week, they instantly beg him for an intense training camp. You and I both respect this energy. They refuse to be left behind. Midori is genuinely shocked by their fiery determination. He agrees, but asks if Sue wants in on this brutal training. Right on cue, Sue marches in, declaring with fiery resolve that he is joining too. Cut back to Kanagi, who is jogging after Makoto down the hallway. Meanwhile, the training crew is shocked to see Sue acting so fired up. He reveals that their teammate was personally handpicked by his older brother for the elite squad. That completely stuns Akane and Haneda. They finally understand how crazy strong Kanagi really is. Being recruited by Makoto is huge, but Sue just sees it as proof that he is too weak. He has to push himself to the absolute limit. In the hallway, Kanagi nervously asks about the briefing. Makoto casually replies that it is for their next big mission, and they head out tomorrow morning. Then Makoto freezes in his tracks, turning to ask if Kanagi is close with Sue. Remembering how So lent him his weapon during the fight, Kanagi immediately nods, yes. Here is the funny thing, Makoto acts icy, but he secretly stresses over Sue constantly. Sue just misreads it and thinks his big brother completely despises him. The real truth. Last time Makoto visited, he was not giving So the silent treatment. He just literally could not stomach seeing his little brother hurt. But classic Sue took it as total rejection, driving him to dangerously risk his life just to make his big brother look his way. Makoto, meanwhile, does not care if So gets stronger at all. He just wants him safe. This tragic, hilarious misunderstanding is exactly why So is so obsessed with beating Kanagi right now. One day, he even wants to crush Makoto. Kanagi keeps prying, and Makoto awkwardly admits he genuinely loves his kid brother. Kanagi thinks that is weirdly wholesome. Back at training, So rants about his goal, and Akane gets a massive headache listening. For a guy who constantly talks about destroying his brother, Sue clearly still worships the man. While dodging Haneda, Akane teases that deep down, So is just begging for his brother to finally notice him. Haneda thinks that is pretty sweet, but Akane poking the bear makes Sue instantly snap in blind anger. At the meeting, Kanagi learns the strongest squad's 3 rules: move fast, keep attacking, and cover your weaknesses. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see their next wild mission. Stick with me here. This squad only has 7 members, but every single one absolute elites. Their mission: wiping out rank 1 disasters. While the chopper flies them in, Jakaru laughs, claiming the captain holds 90% of the team's power, leaving the rest as just backup cheerleaders. Since our main character is just a temp, expectations are practically zero. But while Jakaru keeps talking, Kanagi is completely glued to his phone screen. Jakaru calls him out. Our protagonist panics, quickly apologizing and making an excuse about texting his buddies. Jakaru leans in, demanding to know what he's typing. Truth is, he's messaging the anti-prophecy group. Those founders just won't stop blowing up his phone. Over at the training grounds, his text drops like a bomb. Everyone is stunned. Sue gets visibly ticked off, totally baffled by what the protagonist is trying to pull. Instantly, they drag the message straight to Midori. Midori realizes it's 3 separate pieces of advice, specifically tailored for 3 different people. The tips are so insanely accurate that even the big boss is impressed. With a smirk, he holds out his hand. The choice is theirs: take the advice or trash it. They take the bait. Challenge accepted. Sue is especially fuming, completely feeling like Kanagi is just mocking them. Back on the chopper, Jakaru announces they've arrived. The main character looks down and spots a massive frozen mountain range covered in these gigantic, jagged crystal spikes. This is it. A rank 1 prophecy, literally called Frozen Earth. Now watch closely, because the stakes are wild. It's spreading so insanely fast that without an intervention, every living thing on Earth gets turned to ice. Even worse, this exact disaster is popping off in 17 places globally, hitting huge cities. Vice Captain Kashi breaks down the crisis. No time to mess around, guys. The frost is expanding way faster than projected. Makoto steps up. He orders the squad to bail out the back hatch, since flying any closer is basically a death sentence. Right before dropping, he drops a stern reminder: 0 civilian casualties. To hype them up, he demands they scream out the 3 rules. They roar the rules in sync. In the back, Kanagi flashbacks to his last fight, frustrated he had to rely on Hinoki again. Not this time. He vows to use this mission to level up and learn from the pros. Diving into the freezing air, our protagonist promises to crush this rank 1 disaster himself. Boom. 10:17 a.m. boots on the ground. The cold is an absolute joke. Jakaru, literally an awakened fighter, starts sneezing and complaining. Kashi sighs, noting the intel totally downplayed this freezing hellscape. He points out the zone is massive, suggesting they set up camp at the halfway mark. Makoto mulls it over in silence. Breaking the quiet, Kanagi asks Jakaru if this frozen earth thing is actually written in any prophecy book. Jakaru shakes his head. Nope. The anti-prophecy unit sniffed this out using their own special abilities. Plus, this is the very first time anyone tracked down a rank 1 threat beforehand. That's exactly why Makoto's elite squad got the call. That clears things up, but Kashi spots the main character sweating bullets. She straight up tells him nerves are fine, way better than getting cocky, just don't freeze up. Jakaru pats Kanagi heavily on the shoulder, totally agreeing with Kashi's pep talk. He grins, reminding the kid he's rolling with the absolute best. Kashi instantly yells at Jakaru for being way too relaxed, making him frantically apologize. But then Jakaru throws a hand up. His radar just pinged. Targets at 2 o'clock, exactly 200 meters out. Kashi nods, vanishes in a blur, and pops right back a second later. 30 incoming. S-rank ice gargoyles from the Tai tribe. Makoto doesn't even blink immediately, ordering the squad to turn them into shaved ice. The team blitzes forward with flawless combos. Kanagi is just mind-blown by their synergy. These guys are leagues above basic academy trainees. We know he can't just watch. Seeing true elites, he begs to jump in. Makoto gives the green light, casually brushing off S ranks like trash. Fired up, Kanagi launches forward, kicking a gargoyle square in the dome. Boom! The monster straight up detonates, spraying razor-sharp ice. Dodging a massive hit from a super-jacked gargoyle, Kashi shouts, a warning: there are mutated threats hiding in the pack. The protagonist responds by activating his fire-cutting blade, completely vaporizing one with a blazing, fiery strike. Jikaru's jaw drops seeing a trainee pull off a fury sword skill. Even Kashi looks genuinely impressed. Meanwhile, Makoto is just casually shredding through the remaining horde with a couple of lazy-looking swings. He spots the protagonist's flaming sword, suddenly realizing it matches the weird blue beam from earlier. Fight over the squad, pitches camp, and starts crushing some food. Mid-bite, Kashi casually asks Chikaru what else his radar is showing. Chikaru confirms the coast is clear, no boss monsters for 10 kilometers. Kashi finally relaxes, clearing them to sleep before realizing Makoto and Kanagi vanished. Off in the woods, our boy sits by his campfire trying to fuse his spells again. Deep in focus, Makoto basically teleports behind him. He playfully teases the kid for being a massive tryhard, nearly giving him a full heart attack. So what do we make of this, Captain? Once our protagonist breathes again, Makoto chills next to him, asking if his first camping trip is too rough. Our guy says he is feeling great, but Makoto casually drops that he just wants to go home and smoke. Stick with me here because the MC totally panics, thinking Makoto means drugs when he literally says he wants to smoke his cat. Sweating, he immediately asks about this so-called cat. Makoto leans in close, whips out his phone, and pulls up a photo. He awkwardly asks the cat's name. Makoto just deadpans that his name is Orabe. Checking the picture, Kanagi notices the cat looks straight up evil, but still politely asks if Makoto actually misses him. Makoto flat out says no. Apparently, Orabe shreds his stuff, pukes everywhere, and is basically a tiny furry demon. But get this, Makoto admits the gremlin is cute, comparing him to his little brother Suo. Kanagi finds the comparison weird, but listens as Makoto softly hopes to talk with Suo like this someday. Being an only child, Kanagi cannot relate. But he suggests maybe Makoto should just treat Suo exactly like he treats the cat. Hearing that, Makoto smiles, totally agreeing, and immediately starts spamming Kanagi with cat videos. Kanagi is floored seeing his serious captain baby-talking a cat. Makoto laughs, wondering if acting that silly is actually okay. Then, totally shifting gears, he gently asks Kanagi to train together. Kanagi desperately wants to say no. Luckily, Kashi interrupts, telling them to pack it in for tomorrow's early start. Makoto instantly agrees. Now pay close attention here. While everyone sleeps, a mysterious guy wanders into the freezing wasteland wearing basically zero winter gear. When confronted, the dude claims he is fulfilling a local prophecy. Clutching a tiny book, he acts like it is a super critical mission. And guess what? This lone awakener is marching straight toward Makoto's exact same mountain. Meanwhile, back at camp, Kanagi hits the hay and starts his weird dream training. Today's lesson with the founders, archery for pure focus. Following Margaret's lead, he struggles with a ridiculously heavy bow. Seeing him drip sweat, she asks if holding that intense focus hurts. Off to the side, Hinoi loudly whines that it is not sword day. The mage totally shuts him down. Yesterday was his turn. Even with all that background yelling, Margaret is seriously impressed. Kanagi is locked in. His focus is on a completely different level now. He says running with such an overpowered squad pushes him past his limits. Staring dead at the target, he releases the string and perfectly snipes the bullseye. Margaret is totally blown away as he collapses in pure relief. She tells him to lock that feeling in and ends class. Instantly, Hinoi gets hyped. He rips out his blade, screaming at Kanagi for sword practice. But right before the clash, Kanagi wakes up to his squad shouting his name. Time to roll out. Makoto casually announces that today they are hunting the legendary prophecy boss. Pushing deeper into the ice, they get jumped by another wave of bluebird monsters. Squad instantly charges. Inside Kanagi's head, the founders casually joke that this mission is basically easy mode with this strong team, but the mage sees an older founder looking super stressed, sensing bad vibes. After a quick beatdown, the squad wipes the flock and clears the path. Makoto orders Jakaru to scout up ahead. Karu spots a massive boss, 2,000 meters out, charging right at them, and then he drops the worst possible news. You and I are about to witness absolute madness. 10 seconds later, an unknown god named Comets crashes and flashing a crazy grin. Her aura is completely suffocating. Makoto yells for an all-out strike, and the squad instantly moves with perfect deadly teamwork. Jikaru locks her down and Kashi slices from every direction. The combo lands perfectly, but insane enough, Comets takes absolute zero damage. Before she can even counterattack, she senses something heavy dropping from above. It is Kanagi raining down a massive full-power sword slash. Channeling Hinoi's straight vertical cut, Kanagi puts everything into this swing. His flaming blade erupts, blasting the boss with fire, but incredibly, she does not even flinch. The boss just laughs, swinging back and violently slamming Kanagi into the dirt. Hearing that crunch, Jikaru assumes Kanagi is toast. Luckily, a thick ice crystal shatters and breaks his massive fall. Mid-battle, Kashi realizes exactly why this boss is ranked number 1. She looks desperately at Makoto. It is all on him now, and he calmly draws his blade. Jikaru quickly ropes Kanagi and yanks him to safety, warning that they will only get in Makoto's way now. As everyone retreats, the monster launches a full-power swing right at Makoto. A massive shockwave explodes, leaving the squad totally terrified for his safety. Boom, Makoto casually stops her massive blade inches from his face. She swings again, and he smoothly deflects it like it is absolutely nothing. Then flash, one single brutal slash completely severs her entire arm. In Kanagi's head, Hinoi is losing his mind, begging to try that move. But a panicked Kanagi absolutely refuses to hand over the wheel. So what do you and I learn from this? Never test Makoto. He wanted them to learn from this fight, but now he is ending it. Stick with me, we are jumping right in. The squad throws up a barrier while Makoto pumps red dragon power into his sword, igniting raging flames. He mixes in crimson light and unleashes a massive inferno right at the boss, instantly melting away half of her body. Kanagi, completely stunned. Makoto just dropped a sword flame attack exactly like his, but way more insane. Without that shield, the whole team would be roasted. The main character softly apologizes to the boss, saying it is just his duty to protect this world. The blistering heat makes everyone flinch. Watching closely, the main character realizes Makoto's fighting style is completely different from Hanoki's. He is on an entirely different level. Totally amazed, Kanagi actually wants to learn from him. Makoto then follows up. Now pay attention here, things get wild. He splits the boss, but a blinding flash of light violently cuts across the field. Bam, Makoto's arm is gone. He turns in pure shock, finding a massive hole punched right through Jakaru. He frantically looks around, as the horrific truth hits. One by one, his trusted teammates are violently ripped apart, dropping dead right in front of his eyes. Seeing Jakaru falling, Kanagi desperately sprints toward him. But Jakaru uses his very last ounce of strength to push him back. The main character stumbles backward, forced to just watch his friends collapse. Even at death's door, Jakaru is drowning in pure regret. His radar completely missed the attack, and that one failure cost them everything. Collapsing, he desperately apologizes to Makoto before hitting the dirt, praying someone saw where that shot came from. Kashi survives, but several other members get instantly pierced by the same terrifying beam. Gripping his bleeding stump, Makoto screams for everyone to take cover. It is a skill attack. Nobody hesitates. They sprint. While falling back, Kashi yells at a downed teammate, begging him to just get up and move. But the guy hesitates, terrified for Makoto. That laser attack that severed Makoto's arm simply cannot be blocked, not even by magic barriers, since it vaporizes anything it hits. Another deadly beam shoots at Makoto, but he barely dodges by leaping up. Kashi watches in total fear. The boss keeps attacking while healing her broken body, knowing they desperately need to finish her. With one huge strike, she turns to Kanagi. But he is frozen on his knees, just staring blankly at his dead friends. The main character weakly begs Valentine to bring them back. Looking completely ashamed, Valentine drops the hard truth. She cannot revive the dead. Kanagi goes dead. Silent takes a deep breath and summons all the founders. He admits he really wanted to solo this, but now he knows he needs their power. Hanoki steps up without missing a beat and completely takes over his body. Meanwhile, Makoto analyzes the laser and realizes it completely bypassed Jakaru's radar. Since that radar has a 3-kilometer range, the sniper shot came from even further out. One single hit killed Jakaru and ripped off Makoto's arm. The attacker is just as strong as him. I know what you're thinking, but watch this. Refusing to waste his team's sacrifice, Makoto pushes his limits and draws out insane amounts of power. Using everything left in the tank, he pinpoints a target over 3 kilometers away through all the debris. Gripping his sword tight, he remembers his fallen crew and uses that raw pain as fuel. Makoto charges his blade with pure crimson light and unleashes a massive fire wave melting through everything. Finally, the blast exposes the hidden sniper. It is that same lone boy who showed up earlier. The kid is actually impressed. Makoto found him exactly what he expected from the strongest captain. Makoto is absolutely stunned. His attack just gets swallowed whole. The boy smirks, claiming if Makoto still had his left arm, that strike actually might have killed him. Then he activates a darkness spell, summoning black orbs all around himself. As he casually walks toward Makoto, he casually fires a deadly orb. Makoto instantly answers with a heavy sword swing, throwing up a solid ice barrier. Then, boom, he vanishes, teleporting right behind the kid to slash his neck. But before Makoto can even blink, the exact same laser fires, again blowing off a chunk of his torso. The kid is totally untouched, calmly stating he saw the move coming. He casually adds that Makoto is the one actually dying here. That completely sets Makoto off. Running on fumes, he fiercely rushes in and swings hard, but the kid easily dodges and drives a brutal kick straight into Makoto's bleeding wound. But Makoto totally planned for that. Catching him off guard, he smacks the boy with the back of his massive sword, sending him crashing into the dirt. Watching him fall, Makoto wonders why the kid stopped firing that broken laser after just a few shots. It is insanely overpowered, right? Maybe he just cannot spam it. Then it clicks in Makoto's head. That deadly spell has a massive cooldown. When it comes down to raw stamina, they might actually be tied. The boy lands gracefully, totally confirming Makoto's theory, but reminds Makoto they are definitely not equally injured. Makoto is missing an arm and half his torso. Still, Makoto completely rejects the very idea of losing. He flashes back to the 3 golden rules of his squad, pulling pure raw strength from those memories. Pure resolve floods his eyes, ready to fight to the bitter end. He wraps himself in crackling electric fire, literally cauterizing his own wounds, and screams the squad's 3rd rule, overcome your weakness. He unleashes a massive scarlet blaze. The kid narrows his eyes, realizing Makoto is burning his life for power. So he feeds his dark spell with his life force. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. You and I are jumping right into the chaos. Makoto channels his fallen comrades, glaring down his enemy. Do not disrespect the squad. Cut to Kanagi. He summons the founders, his hair goes pure white, and Hinoki tags in. Meanwhile, the escaping squad blocked. The boss just regenerated her freaky arms and says nobody is leaving. Kashi panics. She definitely cannot handle this solo, so she screams for Kanagi in the back. To her, he looks totally broken from watching everyone die. Classic newbie reaction, right? Makes total sense. Wrong. Our main character stands up. In one lightning flash, he rushes in and absolutely boots the boss across the room. Meanwhile, Makoto and that edgy kid are throwing heavy hits, and Makoto is using half a broken sword. Triggers scarlet light. The kid barely leans out of the way, but even after dodging, he starts sweating bullets. His dark magic should erase those flames, but Makoto's fire keeps bouncing back and landing hits. Plus, the kid is hitting his limit for controlling darkness by hand. His solution, spamming a massive swarm of dark magic orbs. Makoto weaves through them, spots a tiny opening, and clean cuts the kid's arm right off. Tides turned, but the one-armed psycho just jumps in and knees Makoto directly in his wounded ribs. Makoto collapses as the kid casually claims arms are overrated, especially since Makoto literally has a hole in his gut. Then comes the real shocker. Now watch closely because this gets crazy. He says he expected everything, predicting Makoto's exact movements. He actually praises Makoto for picking the smartest moves without hesitating. But get this. That perfect logic is his biggest weakness. It makes him too predictable. He reaches into his bag, pulls out a creepy book, and claims Makoto's loss was literally pre-written. Makoto stares in pure shock. He recognizes that Book of Doom. The kid drops a major lore bomb. If a squad exists to stop prophecies, obviously another squad exists to enforce them. Makoto is totally stunned. A dark anti-squad. Then the kid drops his actual title. He is the 12th Apostle of Darkness. The absolute menace chosen to kickstart the literal apocalypse. Makoto demands to know why he wants to destroy the world. The kid just smirks, flips a page, and sarcastically asks for forgiveness. That cocky attitude makes Makoto snap. He swings with everything he has left, slicing deep into the villain's shoulder. Makoto thinks he actually has this. The kid's mana is drained and his physical body is failing. Time for the finisher. Makoto activates his epic red dragon form. Game over. Nope, even half sliced in two, the kid just laughs, says Makoto is actually the one who's finished, and casually chugs a health potion. A blinding flash erupts. Out of nowhere, a massive punch flies right through the glare. Bam, Makoto gets slammed into the dirt. Dust clears, and guess what? The villain is fully healed. Arm attached, max power restored. The kid brags that the potion was a super rare artifact. It literally reattached his missing arm. Desperate Makoto spams scarlet light / waves, but the guy easily shatters them with darkness, orbs, and counterattacks, leaving Makoto completely helpless. I know what you're thinking. That item is way too overpowered. It's supposed to be government-controlled. Without hesitating, the kid kicks Makoto right in his open stomach wound, leaving him bleeding out in the dirt. With Makoto down for the count, the kid finally exhales. Makoto is built different. Flashing back to his childhood and his squad, his shaking hand still reaches for his broken sword. He remembers Kanagi making a weird joke about treating his brother like a pet cat. A crazy bloody smile appears. He grips the hilt, but right as he swings, a dark laser shoots out and completely severs Makoto's hand. Game totally over. The kid says his final goodbyes. But right before the killing blow, something absolutely shreds the crystal wall behind them. Boom, Kanagi enters the chat backed by the legendary founders. They are ready to demolish the guy who hurt their disciple. Makoto panics seeing the main character here, but then senses a terrifying aura. The villain feels it too. This isn't some weak newbie anymore. The kid feels the danger and instantly threatens to execute Makoto if Kanagi steps closer. Too slow. In a literal millisecond, the kid's arm gets sliced off again. He didn't even see the movement. Kanagi swung his sword from miles away, and the pure shockwave was so aggressive it instantly dulled his own weapon. Even the founders are stunned by that raw power. The alchemist founder quickly steps up, forging shiny new weapons for him, eyes practically glowing with pure revenge. Kanagi orders every single founder to absolutely unleash hell on this guy. But wait, the kid just regenerates his arm again. Hinoki is shocked. Mage founder calls it reversal. She can't believe a modern awakener has it. That artifact is basically spamming auto-heal until its battery hits 0. Mid-explanation, an arrow pierces the villain's head. You and I gotta see what happens next. He never expected that hit, but the wound heals instantly. One founder wonders how they're even supposed to kill this guy. Stick with me here, this gets wild. The mage says just keep killing him until it sticks. The villain casts darkness while Kanagi readies another arrow. He lets it fly. The darkness tries blocking, but that arrow just punches straight through, nailing the guy right in the chest and head. The archer founder just smirks, asking if he seriously thought those arrows could be blocked. He heals again, firing a massive swarm of darkness orbs. Using the founder's evasion, Kanagi casually slips past every single one and rushes right in. Boom! A brutal kick right to the face. Kanagi grabs his hand and delivers a devastating palm strike. One founder notes a major flaw. The villain can't use his annihilation beam while his own orbs block his vision. That makes his attacks way more predictable and super easy to dodge. Kanagi follows up, smashing a massive blow right into his gut, sending him crashing down. Honestly, the founders are getting bored wondering how many times they have to watch this guy die and respawn. Kanagi walks over to Makoto, who is barely hanging on. Makoto asks if it is really him. Kanagi admits, nope, the founders are possessing his body like ancient heroic spirits. Using Valentine's healing power preservation, Kanagi starts fully restoring Makoto's arms. During the heal, he warns that time is running out. As Kanagi steps away, Makoto finally grasps just how powerful these controlling founders are. Meanwhile, the villain scrambles back up. He is completely baffled that his ultimate spells are getting countered this easily. Now watch closely. Kanagi gives him 0 breathing room, instantly driving a massive spear straight through his heart. Brutal. The guy just gets struck down over and over, never catching a single breath. One founder asks the mage if leaving the weapon lodged in his chest stops the healing. Nope. The spear simply slips out and the crazy regeneration starts all over again. The second he revives, Kanagi drops from above with a crushing kick, smashing him flat into the dirt again. Kanagi casually wonders which body part regrows first if they obliterate him completely. This time around, the villain starts healing straight from his severed hand. By the time his body fully restores, he is gasping for air, absolutely exhausted. After being shredded non-stop, his pride refuses to let a kid win. His new genius plan, quickly assassinate Makoto and run for his life. But as he rushes over, Kanagi is already sitting right there guarding Makoto. Flashing a psycho smile, he tells the villain he is way too late. Suddenly, Hinoki fully takes control of Kanagi. Using his legendary sword style, he instantly slices the guy into absolute ribbons. Even mangled like that, the villain doesn't fear death, firmly believing in some grand prophecy. But honestly, facing a monster like Kanagi is seriously making him second-guess his life choices. Mid-regeneration, he desperately tries to calm his nerves by focusing on his dark mission. Before panic fully sets in, he reaches for another artifact. But Kanagi casually slices off his entire arm before he can even grab it. You see that too, right? The artifact triggers a huge golden prison around Kanagi, the sand cage of time. Right then, his crazy healing factor finally hits 0. The arm stays gone. Breathing heavy, he actually thinks he somehow survived this nightmare. The founders spot the cage and immediately get anxious, especially with the villain's regeneration almost wrapping up. Standing safely outside, the guy gloats that not even his ultimate darkness can break that cage. Kanagi is completely trapped and helpless inside. Sweating bullets, he announces his escape. But before taking a single step, Hinoki yells at him to look closer. A terrifying pressure spikes behind the villain. He slowly turns to find Makoto standing tall, his body literally healing as he gets up. Wondering how Makoto is this absurdly strong, it traces right back to his childhood training under the absolute best master Midori. Makoto actually beat Midori in a duel. After that, Midori told him to go find a better teacher. Taking advice from the strongest awakener, Makoto hunted down top-tier masters everywhere. But he simply outgrew them all. Sword skills, magic, pure speed. Honestly, it didn't matter. Not a single master could keep up. Finally, someone pointed him to the strongest swordsman alive, Hinoki Ichika, the founder's little sister. Icha became his ultimate master, training him for 3 straight years. During one intense session, Makoto brought up a legendary sword technique from an old book called Indomitable, but even Icha was clueless. She admitted that move was strictly reserved for Hinoki, the original founder. Obviously, that just made Makoto way more obsessed. And shortly after that, Icha realized the harsh truth. She had absolutely nothing left to teach this prodigy. He had flawlessly mastered Hinoki's one-handed sword style, yet Makoto was still hungry for more power. Icha had no idea how to push him further. She called him a terrifying flower bud that somehow still hadn't bloomed yet. With his insane skill level, blooming seemed almost impossible. Still, she genuinely hoped a far greater swordsman would eventually cross his path. Flash forward to now, and Makoto realizes that impossible moment is finally here. Kanagi is literally executing sword moves that defy pure logic. Icha told him a chance like this is a once-in-a-lifetime deal. There is no way on earth he is letting this slip by. Are you ready? Thanking Icha silently. Makoto brings his severed arms together. All right, you and I are about to witness something wild. The founders are totally confused while Kanagi sweats over his captain. Why? Because Makoto is suddenly radiating pure main character energy right now. Miles away at the anti-prophecy training grounds, Midori is throwing down with Suo. Suddenly, a massive, overwhelming aura hits him and a boom shakes everything. When the smoke finally clears, massive hole in the wall, and Midori vanished. Back to the fight, the enemy is completely lost. How is Makoto still standing? Deep down, he knows he is about to get completely sliced apart. Watching this, Hananoi drops some wisdom on Kanagi. People are like flowers, they bloom when body, spirit, and ultimate techniques hit absolute peak perfection. For Makoto, that exact moment is right now. Standing behind the main character, Hananoi tells him to memorize this. He totally gets it. Blooming like a flower, Makoto lifts his empty hands like a blade. With absolute focus, he unleashes Hananoi's legendary lost one-handed strike. He activates Indomitable, the ultimate move he only read about. The enemy's dark shield pops up perfectly, but Makoto just cleaves him right in half without a real blade. Splitting completely in two, the villain realizes his dark journey ends right here. Hananoi heavily praises that Mind Blade. Makoto just stands there stunned, realizing he finally leveled up into the legendary swordsman he always dreamed of becoming. He feels incredibly blessed for every single second he spent with his squad, his friends, and his beloved family. Every single hardship just made him an absolute beast. If this is game over, he thinks about his little brother and his cat silently whispering a tearful sorry. His vision fades into black, but watch closely here. Kanagi reaches out with a warm smile. You and I both realize right now death might not be the actual end. Through our main character, his blazing will lives on to the future. Taking his hand, Makoto drops a final thank you and collapses. The cage shatters, and Kanagi sprints toward his fallen captain. That deep bond pulses through the crest. But looking around, the rest of the fighters are completely wiped out. Right before Makoto joins them, Midori crashes into the scene, catching him right before he hits the dirt. Passing away at just 23, Makoto goes limp. Midori clutches his captain's body tightly, completely refusing to accept this tragic nightmare. Flashback hits. Midori remembers a sparring session asking why Makoto even took the captain role. Midori claimed Makoto was literally the second strongest guy in the unit. Going all out, he was an absolute unstoppable monster. So why not just solo everyone? Caught completely off guard, Makoto laughed and asked if he really seemed like a lone wolf. Honestly, his team was his entire world. He just sucked at expressing those feelings out loud. Suddenly, his loudmouth teammates buzz in right through the security cams. Chikaru is hyped because Kuzuhiro just crushed his level 2 test. Kuzuhiro is glowing, wanting the captain to know first. Chikaru demands a huge squad lunch. Seeing them joke around and celebrate like family leaves Midori completely speechless. Blushing, Makoto confessed he loved his squad. Even if a battle completely wrecked him, having his boys there made it all totally worth it. Snapping back to reality, Midori holds that lifeless body, whispering that his final wish actually came true. 2 squad members survived. You and I definitely felt that heartbreak. Crying, Midori gently shuts Makoto's eyes, finally honoring his ultimate duty. Midori admits he could never do that. But Makoto, he went out like an absolute legend. Meanwhile, Kanagi is eating dirt. The founders watch from behind as total darkness slowly eats his mind alive. The mage points out that our hero is drowning in guilt over the station, hating his own weakness. Every single founder knows that bitter pain. They lost comrades and family too, and guys like Hananoi never actually healed from that trauma. Stepping up to the completely crushed Kanagi, Hananoi calls out to pull him from the edge. But Kanagi is just done fighting. His spirit is completely shattered into pieces. He screams that if the founders fought earlier, nobody would be dead. Getting stronger for others just turned him into their empty puppet. Hananoi tries responding, but our boy is lost in his head. Suddenly, the hand Makoto touched starts burning like a blazing inferno. It clicks. Makoto trusted him with everything he left behind. The founders get teary-eyed, but Kanagi drops a massive bombshell. He is totally done just trying to surpass them. He vows to go way beyond them forever. Boom. A blinding light strikes him as his unbreakable resolve ignites. No more deaths on his watch. Cut to 1 month later at Mount Mitaki. Suo throws wild combos, but our boy dodges everything smoothly. He instantly fires back with a brutal counter. Suo effortlessly redirects the massive shockwave. MC is stunned. So what do you and I expect now? Training just got real. Before he can even think, Suo charges in again, but this time he's totally ready, using Aikido to toss Suo like a ragdoll. Suo throws a mid-air kick, but Kanagi blocks it perfectly, instantly answering with a devastating heavy kick of his own. Right before impact, a loud shout freezes them both. It's Icha. So you and I are wondering, how did we get here? Wiping out Makoto's squad left a massive scar on the anti-prophecy unit. At the funeral, while everyone cried, Suo just stood completely frozen in front of his brother's photo. Sometime later, Kanagi spotted him quietly, leaving Makoto's room holding some books and a cat. Kanagi instantly recognized the furball as Oribe, the cat Makoto always talked about. Suo was completely shocked Kanagi knew, especially since he had no clue. Until stepping into Makoto's room, Suo literally knew absolutely nothing about the books or Oribe. He knew nothing about the clothes, the food, or what went through his brother's mind. He only discovered it all while sorting through Makoto's belongings. Then Kanagi realized Suo was holding a heavy stack of diaries. Makoto had actually left them behind just in case the worst happened. They logged his daily training, dangerous missions, and regular life, but Suo uncovered something way deeper inside. Almost every single entry ended with Makoto worrying about Suo. How he was doing the cold weather, his daily progress, and just small little moments. Reading those pages alone in his room, Suo just collapsed to the floor, crying, realizing every single thought his brother had revolved around him. Sharing this with Kanagi, Suo admitted that Makoto talked non-stop about him and Oribe too. Watch closely because you and I are about to see him change. Tearing up, he swears to get stronger so his brother never worries again. After that, those two went straight to Icha to beg for some training. He was pretty cautious at first until they explained Suo was Makoto's brother and that Makoto died in action. That hit Icha hard, but she kept cool. Both Suo and Kanagi begged her to make them stronger. Flashing back to the present, Icha is completely mind-blown by their insane growth, especially Suo's. Kanagi asks about his own progress, and Icha just lets out a loud, annoyed sigh. She admits she has absolutely nothing left to teach him since he knows too much. She even jokes she should be taking lessons from him instead. Kicking a stick toward them, she flashes this wild grin and declares she is the sword itself, daring them to come at her. They both charge in immediately with Suo attacking head-on, while Kanagi strikes hard from above. Mid-fight, Kanagi swears he will keep growing until he becomes the absolute strongest awakener alive. Meanwhile, over in London, England, a coated man walks alone into the dark night. Turning into a dark alley, someone calls him out as Quatre, one of the notorious 12 apostles of the apocalypse. Quatre instantly recognizes the guy blocking his path too. It's actually Midori. Midori coldly demands the exact location of Quatre's base, and crew warning that any other answer means instant death. Quatre quickly pulls out this bizarre heart-shaped pike, daring Midori to try. Instantly, blood sprays across the alley walls and Midori just walks out completely spotless. Outside, the other anti-prophecy squad members are waiting. Midori calmly hands over the book, turns his back, and drops a cold line, 7 left. I know you're doing the math with me right now. 5 books total means 5 of those 12 apostles are already dead. And just like that, Midori is already hunting down his next target. Deep inside Anti-Prophecy's ultra-secret facility, the Hunt of Everlasting Secrets, someone hands Midori's new book to an old woman. That's Io, the unit's powerful superintendent. The guy delivering the book confirms Midori sent it, explaining these are the prophecy books ripped straight from the 12 apostles of the apocalypse. That guy is Tengen Io's assistant. Another assistant named Shiki is there too. She drops a theory that these books might actually be fragments of one massive broken-apart book. Io opens the cover and casually mentions that killing apostles or collecting books isn't even their real problem here. The true issue is Midori going rogue alone. Makoto's tragic death seriously messed him up. Hearing this, Shiki immediately asks for their next move. Flashing a knowing smile, Io tells them she will handle Midori. She casually adds she'll brew him some tea when he finally returns. Tengen and Shiki then bring up a harsh truth. Makoto's wiped-out squad left a massive gaping hole in the anti-prophecy unit. They volunteer to build a brand new squad under their direct command. Io stays quiet, pondering it. Meanwhile, just outside Tokyo, a rank 2 prophecy called Rebellion explodes into chaos. The big boss is the God of Dawn. Anti-prophecy troops are clashing with the prophecy's army, but they're getting wrecked by even the low-level grunts. Completely panicking, they desperately call for their captain, Hibiki. Hibiki, the absolute boss of the Hibiki Setsuna squad, steps up. To her, these enemies are basically a boring warm-up. She glances back at Akane, who's still training with her squad, and casually asks if she can wipe them out. Akane activates her epic Trismegistus spell, summoning a massive blob of liquid mercury. Warning everyone to step back, she floods the ground with it, rushing toward the enemies. The second it hits their feet, Akane vaporizes the mercury into gas. Instantly, the enemy troops start coughing and violently choking. Now picture this with me. She turns the gas into liquid inside their bodies. Next, she cranks up the crimson heat to a boil, suddenly solidifying it. Instant kill as brutal spikes erupt inside their bodies. Stick with me here. The whole squad is absolutely stunned because Akane just wiped out every troop in seconds. She snaps her fingers, turns around, and casually says she is done. Hibiki walks right over, clapping hard. She praises Akane for controlling all 3 states of matter and perfectly chaining 4 attacks into one epic skill. Lifting Akane's chin, Hibiki sighs. She says it is a shame she is only temporary, then invites her to officially join the squad for real. After training wraps up, Akane excitedly says she will think about it. The rest of the team is totally impressed, wondering if this cute but overpowered girl might actually join. But honestly, Hibiki just wants Akane because she makes every fight insanely easy. The second Akane leaves, she calls Kanagi. She proudly reports finishing Lesson 7 on controlling the 3 states of alchemy. She asks for the next lesson. Kanagi, currently fighting off a cat to save his lunch, simply says, okay. The founder alchemist is totally amazed. Akane already mastered level 7. Hearing this, our main character asks him to prep 3 more lessons for her. The founder happily agrees. Kanagi relays the news to Akane, and she thanks him, casually dropping that Hanada already hit Lesson 8. Over in Tokorozawa City, Saitama Prefecture, a Rank 2 prophecy named Earth-Eating Beast appears, led by the monster Sphinx. Hanada charges the boss and completely destroys it with a single lightning kick, easily clearing his level 8 lesson. Captain of the Todoroki squad heaps praise on Hanada, immediately asking him to join their elite team. Just like Akane, Hanada says he needs time to pick a squad, asking for her opinion. Akane flashes a wild grin and says it does not matter who he picks, she will crush them anyway. Nagi is still listening on the call. He is genuinely glad they are getting stronger, realizing he really needs to step up his own training too. This makes Suo complain that Oribe always clings to our main character, instead of him desperately trying to pull the stubborn cat away. Then Akane brings up a juicy rumor about a new squad since he has not heard. Now pay attention to this. She explains it is replacing Makoto's squad, and the captain gets chosen based purely on who gets the absolute best results. Our main character brushes it off, but Akane is not even focused on how the captain gets picked. She wants to know if Kanagi is going to build his own squad. At first, he just laughs it off like a total joke. Then he freezes, realizing she is dead serious, and asks why she even brought it up. Akane reveals a hidden wish inside the anti-prophecy faction. They need a strike force to obliterate any prophecy that catches our hero off guard. And honestly, Akane admits she wants that exact same thing. Everyone is begging for a powerful leader. And in her eyes, Kanagi has exactly what it takes to become an amazing squad captain. Right on cue, her captain shouts for her. Akane quickly says goodbye and drops the call. Now Kanagi cannot stop thinking about actually becoming a captain himself. Meanwhile, Ichika asks Suo about our hero. Suo quickly spills the rumors about the main character potentially stepping up to become a squad captain. Ichika says Kanagi could easily do it if he tried, and Suo fully agrees. You saw this coming. Still unsure, he asks the founders for advice, but surprisingly they do not know what to say. They realize they spent their entire lives serving a master, so they know next to nothing about making this kind of leadership choice. The mage founder bitterly sighs, calling them completely useless teachers since they cannot guide him here. Noi turns to the military strategy founder Ryan for his expert take. But Ryan refuses to step in, claiming the timing is totally wrong. He hints someone else is already perfectly fit to guide Kanagi. Before our hero can even process that thought, a heavy wooden spear violently slams into the ground right beside him. He looks up and spots Ichika approaching. She bluntly tells him to stop overthinking everything and just keep on training. Flashing a wild, challenging grin, she dares him to use his flash step on her. Kanagi accepts. He leaps off the rock and instantly activates Flash Step. He smoothly mixes it with Ripple Step to nail a flawless light landing. Ichika is visibly amazed, genuinely wondering who this guy actually is. In her mind, no normal awakener should ever reach this insane level in just 6 months. He just laughs, having flashbacks to Hinoi, pushing him through brutal Flash Step training and failing endlessly. But that memory abruptly ends when he feels raw energy rushing right at him. Chika charges like a beast, her wooden staff glowing with raw power. Kanagi barely dodges as her strike completely splits the massive rock behind him in two. Suo is left speechless. Ichika tells Kanagi she does not care about his distractions. She will forcefully make him focus. Feeling the intense pressure, our hero steadies himself and finally locks into battle mode. Deep inside his mind, Hinoi realizes Rion meant Ichika was the perfect mentor to guide him. The mage founder also notices Ichika is unbelievably strong for a modern awakener, exactly what you would expect from Hinoi's legendary bloodline. Hinoi loudly denies having kids, guessing she might be tied to his brother instead. Still, he freely admits she is an absolute powerhouse. After all, she personally trained Makoto. That alone means she could be a worthy, true successor. But then Hinoi freezes, noticing her unleash a move called Skyfall, something he has never even seen before. You are going to want to see this. It fires a brutal electric blast and he barely dodges, finally realizing Ichika is fighting him seriously. She rushes in again, immediately following up with her brutal purgatory sword technique, sending a heavy, devastating strike straight at him. Hinoi watches totally hyped. He realizes Ichika just created a brand new move by perfecting everything she was taught. Kanagi dodges again, and Ichika is seriously impressed. He has never seen this attack, but he still completely evaded it. He praises his one-handed sword style, pointing out how much it actually looks like the founder's technique. You and I know that pressure right. Before he answers, Ichika asks if he is terrified he will never match Makoto's legendary strength. The MC completely freezes. She hit the nail right on the head. Suo is stunned while Kanagi just grips his sword tighter. He remembers witnessing Makoto's insane power firsthand. Seeing such an amazing captain made him seriously doubt if he could ever reach that godlike level. But to his total surprise, Ichika drops a bomb he doesn't need to become Makoto. Suddenly, she shouts at him to focus. Pouring in her energy, she unleashes Tengu Dance, whipping up a massive water tornado. She explains this move was built by later masters who kept upgrading the founder's original style. They might never match the founder, since the gap is just way too massive. But by chasing that peak, they got closer step by step. Kanagi finally gets it. Ichika admits she doesn't know exactly how great Makoto was, but from what she saw, the guy was an absolutely incredible leader. She tells our MC he won't match Makoto right away. But if he keeps grinding and sharpening his skills, he can definitely reach that height. Pointing her wooden stick right at him, she makes it clear, stop trying to be a copycat. Instead, he needs to walk his own path. Those exact words make Kanagi flash back to the day Makoto shook his hand. Looking back at that memory, it finally clicks. He needs to move forward, not just measure himself against a ghost. Ichika smiles, promising to personally train him for that future. And just like that, they dive straight into 2 weeks of absolute hellish training. Meanwhile, over at Anti-Prophecy headquarters, Hibiki and Todoroki review the brand new list of squad captain candidates. These recommendations came straight from the big boss. Kanagi and Ichika both made the cut. But honestly, some people think these choices are pretty weird. Now pay attention here, things get messy. Outside, a shadowy figure confirms on the phone that they already infiltrated the facility 3 days before the exam. Holding the Book of Doom, this figure vows to become the Anti-Prophecy's next squad leader. Turns out that is Eva, one of the 12 apostles of Apocalypse. Eva has this terrifying skill called Heavenly Demon. It literally lets her steal the identity of anyone she kills. Her master plan, take over as the new squad captain and completely destroy the Anti-Prophecy from the inside out. Midori has been hunting the 12 apostles, relentlessly wiping out over half of them. The bad guys know a direct fight is pure suicide, so they are tearing down the Anti-Prophecy from the inside instead. They will do absolutely anything to fulfill that dark prophecy. 3 days fly by. The captain selection exam officially kicks off at the massive Anti-Prophecy training field, with all candidates gathered. The instructor announces the rules: 4 tests total. Only the top 4 fighters will survive to the final round. It is all about points. First place gets 3 points, second gets 2, third gets 1. Whoever racks up the highest score claims the title of new squad captain. The superintendent watches silently from above while the instructor hypes everyone up to give it their absolute all. The crowd roars a huge yes. Meanwhile, Kanagi can literally feel every single eye staring right at him. 8 candidates are up. We have Koki from Yagurama, Akihina from Yorozuya, Sonobe from Yashima, and Hagi repping the Kakab squad. Also in the mix are Sakazaki from the Sarazaki squad, Shikami from Todoroki, and finally Jiru from the Hibiki squad. I know what you and I are thinking. A hidden villain classic. Eva is secretly posing right there. And then there is Kanagi, the special recommendation. Unlike the rest, he is completely alone. Why? Because Ichika, his actual captain, totally overslept again. Classic mentor behavior. She does text him, though, threatening to make him pay dearly if he loses. He absolutely cannot afford to get knocked out before she even arrives. Our MC steels himself for the test. Meanwhile, Ichika is speeding toward the arena on Sutsu's back, screaming at him to go way faster. She knows if they don't hurry up, they will miss the absolute most important part. Since she is totally sure Kanagi will dominate, she refuses to miss out. Back at the field test, number 1 kicks off mana measurement. To everyone's absolute shock, he unleashes so much raw energy that the measuring machine literally explodes. Boom, easy first place. Akihina from Yorozuya, who barely scraped 5th, is completely stunned by just how overwhelming our protagonist's raw power actually is. Sakazaki grabs 3rd place and Hagi takes 2nd. But both instantly realize Kanagi is just on a completely different level. Sakazaki says crazy cases like this happen when a true genius shows up. He figures our MC is an absolute mana monster. He compares him to Shikami, another total oddball who placed 7th. This crazy display locks Kanagi in 1st place with a solid 3 points. Trust me, you and I want to watch this part. The instructor announces Test 2 hand-to-hand combat. Every fighter faces an opponent with a win worth 2 points. As the first match is called, Shikami throws his hand up. He demands to fight the protagonist. Listen up, you and I are about to meet the strongest close combat fighter in absolute irregular. At just 2 years old, literal monsters from another dimension suddenly spawned right around him. Still, sitting in his baby stroller, he wiped them all out alone. He protected his shocked mother and instantly became a total legend. From the sidelines, Hibiki calls Todoroki out for cheating by using Shikami, but Todoroki smirks using his top fighter is totally fair game. He points out that Shikami packs massive magic talent alongside absolutely absurd physical strength. Todoroki proudly claims he trained Shikami since day one, and absolutely nobody has ever taken him down in a fistfight. Hearing this, Hibiki sweats. Will the match end in 1 second? Because beating Shikami up close is basically impossible. The fight kicks off. Shikami walks right up to Kanagi, demanding to know if he actually trained Hinata. Thinking of the founders, the main character just shrugs, calling himself a simple messenger. Shikami does not buy it. Someone is clearly pulling the strings behind the scenes for Hinata, who is already a total prodigy. Shikami claims Hinata would hit that level anyway. Our guy just nods. Naturally, that passive reaction pisses Shikami off even more. Watch closely now. Shikami activates violent bite turns completely monstrous and rushes our hero at insane speed. He barely ducks. Shikami immediately follows up with a heavy claw strike. Todoroki loves watching his beast go wild. Shikami puts everything into that swing, but Kanagi effortlessly slips aside and spots an opening. Hopping into a judo stance, he grabs Shikami by the wrist and slams him face first into the dirt. A massive shockwave blasts rocks everywhere, leaving the entire crowd speechless. When the dust finally settles, both fighters are suspended in midair. Everyone is completely shocked. Kanagi merely redirected that momentum. Still, the sheer force completely destroyed the arena. Even Kanagi is surprised by that crazy power, but Shikami feels mocked. Amazingly, the beast lands safely after that slam. With the ground ripped apart, the crowd is stunned. Watching on his laptop, Akihina mutters that this was totally expected. Shikami possesses a body way tougher than normal guys. His physical stats are broken. Finding his balance, he charges in again. Kanagi realizes simple counters will not cut it. Time for a new plan. Channeling his founder power, he throws a light kick. He multiplies it using his penetration technique Luminance Kick. The attack hits Shikami relentlessly in midair. The whole crowd stares in pure shock as Shikami crashes down completely defeated. The instructor jumps in, stops the match, and hands Kanagi the victory plus 2 extra points. The rest of the squad is frozen. The main character just crushed Shikami in pure close combat, proving he really is an absolute irregular. Akihina is typing furiously now, totally caught off guard by those insane hand-to-hand combat skills. He assumed our boy would lose early, but now he is a massive threat. Shikami finally wakes up absolutely shocked to see Kanagi casting a spell. I know what you're thinking. He calmly explains he's healing him, leaving Shikami confused. Insane mana, godlike strength, and now healing magic. Still processing this madness, Shikami asks if there is literally anything he cannot do. That exact question flashes him back to when he failed to save the fallen Makoto squad. Finishing up the healing, our guy tells him he can stand now. Mid-conversation, a massive explosion suddenly rings out nearby. Kanagi glances over and casually mentions that the final match just started. Shikami completely panics, assuming he was knocked out forever. But the hero reveals it has only been 5 minutes. He explains the other matches kicked off right after theirs. 2 ended instantly. Amazingly, Akihina and Hisagi are still throwing down after 5 whole minutes. Neither wants to yield. They are trading brutal hits with zero restraint. Hisagi rushes in fast, but Akihina forcefully drives her back. She laughs, mocking his zero talent and saying a guy like him should never be a captain. Akihina casually keeps his balance, replying that he never actually wanted to stand out anyway. To him, a flashy captain is just marching straight into the grave. A true leader adapts to anything, raising their squad's survival odds by even a single %. That is the exact leader he strives to become. He refuses to ever let another Makoto squad tragedy happen again. Those heavy words hit Kanagi right in the chest. Akihina is talking about his fallen comrades. Furious Shikami tells Akihina to watch his mouth. Meanwhile, Hisagi unleashes her chainsword style, charging in with a spinning energy wave. Akihina desperately blocks, but the raw force still smashes him into the dirt. Hisagi dives in for the finish, but Akihina suddenly forfeits. The instructor ends the match, naming Hisagi the winner while she stands there stunned. A squadmate grabs her before she can lunge at him. She is absolutely furious he quit instead of fighting for real. Akihina just saved his stamina for the next test. So what do we think, genius move or pure cowardice? Right, stick with me here. Our guy knows he could crush Sei, but he's holding back his real power, especially with Kanagi watching. The combat round wraps up. He snags first place with 5 points, while Tsunonobe takes second with 3. The instructor announces a 30-minute break. He warns everyone after the next exam, the bottom 4 scores get eliminated. Lunchtime hits, and our main character wonders where Ichika and Shu went. They should be here by now. Outside the anti-prophecy base, Shu finally shows up, carrying Ichika looking absolutely exhausted. Shu gets confused when she marches toward the courtyard instead of the training grounds. Ichika claims she can smell a dark, lingering aura. The scent means someone died recently. She senses an awakener was completely destroyed by a monster way out of their league. Shu completely freezes. An awakener dying here means someone infiltrated the anti-prophecy headquarters, despite it being a top-secret location. Ichika casually notes the 12 apostles have the power to find this place. That makes Shu panic even harder. He desperately asks why they would attack here, but she straight up ignores him and points toward the training area. Internally, she is convinced the victim was captain level. The fact that nobody reported this makes the whole situation incredibly sketchy. Right now, Midori, Ichika, Shu, and especially Kanagi all share one single goal: avenging Makoto. During lunch, while others eat and treat their wounds, Akira just sits alone with his laptop. Our main character is hanging with Shikami until he spots Ichika and Shu. The vibe instantly shifts when everyone recognizes exactly who Ichika is. She is one of 5 elites in the Anti-Prophecy Special Task Force, right alongside Midori. Shu glances at the captains and gets massive chills. Ichika said, "A captain died, yet all 7 of them are standing right there." Hearing his concern, Ichika just smirks. She calls Kanagi over saying she has some serious news to share. "Now, pay attention." She drops a bombshell. One of these captains might actually be a 12 Apostles imposter. Going by that leftover aura, the victim was absolutely captain class. But with every single captain present, the math just isn't mathing right now. The only answer, one of them is a fake who stole the dead captain's identity. Ogi instantly tenses up and Shu agrees. A captain killer could literally be standing 2 feet away from them. Shu warns them ignore this and more bodies will drop. Even worse, it might trigger a prophecy that straight up wipes out all humanity. Ichika grins like a maniac and suggests the easy route: just kill everyone here to remove the threat. Nagi and Shu shoot that down immediately. They just need to find the one hiding apostle and take them out quietly. Totally fired up now, Ichika says this might be their chance to avenge Makoto. The apostles murdered him after all. She asks Kanagi if he wants payback. Remembering the brutal fate of his squad, he instantly agrees. Shu heavily clenches his fist too, remembering what happened to his brother. Main character turns to Azure, founder of the detectives, asking for his opinion. Azure says step 1 is investigating the crime scene. But since the exams are still running, that is pretty much impossible. I know what you're thinking, just rush in, right? But Azure warns that might tip off the killer. If this guy matches the Snowy Mountain Apostle, everyone dies. They have to be ready. So our main character decides to inspect the area himself. After today's test, he asks if even the powerful founders might fail to sense any leftover aura. Hinoki mentions they spent all last month near an active volcano where he perfectly mastered his one-handed sword technique. He explains the volcano might be messing with the chi flow, making leftover energy super hard to detect. Mage jumps in, adding that if the aura requires point-blank range to sense the enemy, is definitely apostle level. Azure gets super annoyed they are hijacking his detective job. But Hinoki interrupts, saying they just need to find the culprit so he can slice him up. Going back to the issue, Azure tells him to ask Ichika one thing. Could the apostle be hiding as a candidate, not a captain? This catches Ichika off guard, but she admits it is totally possible if they mean captain candidates. Even so, she says the actual squad captains still cannot be cleared from suspicion. Nagi nods and quickly schemes a plan for the next exam, completely assuming it will be a heavy combat test. Minutes later, the instructor kicks off the 3rd exam and drops a bomb, a written test. The main character is absolutely blindsided. Thrown into separate rooms with 0 phones, our guy is completely cut off. No way to gather clues about the imposter now. The entire test is about anti-prophecy rules, and he barely understands any of it. Still, he refuses to quit and powers through. When time runs out, the instructor announces the results. Kanagi gets 0 points, while Akira snags 2nd place. 4 candidates are eliminated, and that is where we leave it for now. Wild, right? Let's dive right in. You and I are watching our guy completely bomb his written exam, standing there looking absolutely defeated. Shikami casually strolls over, giving him a weirdly cheerful thumbs up. They both scored a total 0, but Shikami is way more salty that Akihina literally aced the entire thing. Despite that massive fail, he hypes Kanagi up for keeping 1st place. He promises to cheer him on later, casually wondering who the new captain will be. Plus, the big boss superintendent still needs to test their overall teamwork. Shikami points out that a squad needs 7 people minimum, meaning the new leader has to recruit 6 extra members. He basically nudges him to start scouting his future dream team right now. He grabs our guy's shoulder and straight up volunteers himself for the squad, completely flexing his impressive physical stats. Flashing a grin, Shikami walks off, wishing him luck. The second he leaves, Azure telepathically tells him to hit the crime scene. But his tone, it completely gives away that Azure already figured out the killer's identity. Azure totally admits it, but insists they need real hard evidence before pointing any fingers. Then he drops the hype line: it is finally time to counterattack the 12 apostles. The mage recaps this whole crazy mess, bringing up how Detective Azure has basically been our main character's personal brain trust. Hibiki gets super annoyed by her rambling, though she is obviously just trying to keep the mood from getting too dark. Back at the scene, Azure takes over the investigation. And bingo, every single clue lines up perfectly with his big theory. Now watch closely, because once the victim is officially identified, he knows exactly who the killer is. Hearing this, Hibiki finally gets it. They are actually fighting one of the apostles, and this psycho probably has a book of doom just like the last guy. The mage asks for their next move. But before Kanagi can even speak, a massive energy wave rips him straight into this weird, cloudy dimension. Waiting there is an old lady who claims she is just some random granny out for a stroll. She casually asks about his case. He explains there was a murder, and the killer is some high-level pro literally hijacking another person's body. Granny wonders if they should grab the suspect right now. But our guy smirks, saying they already locked onto the target without even guessing. They have hard proof. Still, he refuses to spill all the details just yet. The old lady is honestly so confused. To her, the obvious play is to expose the psycho and instantly take them out. But our guy warns her it only looks that easy. Plot twist, there are actually two culprits, not just one. He wants to wipe them both out at the exact same time when they group up. He plans to finish this tomorrow morning. Then he tells the granny, who is obviously the superintendent, to just sit back and enjoy the show. She just smiles, wishes him luck, and sticks to her hilarious story about being a harmless passing granny. Right as she turns away, Kanagi drops his name, making the old woman crack another mysterious smile. A massive surge of energy hits him, blasting him back to reality. Meanwhile, in some secret room, the assistant asks the superintendent if doing nothing is really smart. The granny is totally chill about it. Kanagi is already knocking on the truth and clearly has a master plan ready to go. He just wants to watch his next move unfold. But just in case, she orders the assistant to put the other officers on standby. The assistant nods, admitting she honestly did not spot anything special about him. Yet even after scanning his leftover energy, the boss lady completely trusts our guy. The assistant is super confused by all this blind faith. But the granny saw pure, unbreakable confidence in his eyes, and that was enough. Cut to the next day. He is walking through the woods when Shikami pops up to explain their next exam. This round grades their potential as a squad captain. Shikami bets Akihina will use pure strategy, but insists he is totally rooting for Kanagi. You caught that too, right? Kanagi suddenly asks him why he purposely threw the exam. Cue a deeply uncomfortable, creepy pause. Shikami slowly turns around, saying he just changed his plan halfway through. Instead of leading, he would rather operate under a powerful boss. Kanagi glares at him, calling his bluff. He threw it just to assassinate the squad's most promising rookies. Ichika is actually nearby too, waiting in the trees as secret backup. Shikami does not even deny it. He straight up admits he will happily kill anyone if he needs to replace them. He casually explains that during the written test, his brain could only access whatever information was already stored inside it, hence the fat zero. Calling his host a complete idiot, he jokes that murdering Akihina would honestly be way easier. Suddenly, they step into an open field and boom, every single squad, captain, and member is already surrounding them. In the dead center, Todoroki is literally chained down. Hibiki and another captain stand guard right beside him, looking incredibly smug. Hibiki smirks, calls Shikami Mr. Apostle, and demands he introduce himself. Knowing the gig is totally up, Shikami drops the friendly act. His voice drops deep, revealing his true identity, Eva, the ninth apostle. So what do we learn here? Eva steals info straight from a host's brain, picking Shikami just for his insane stats. Trust me, the real fight starts now. Stick with me here, Hibiki smirks, asking if Eva tried wrecking the prophecy from the inside. Eva agrees. But since that plan crashed and burned, she is just gonna murder everyone instead. First though, she wants the genius who exposed her. Hibiki just points straight at Kanagi standing right beside her. Flashing a wicked grin, Eva says she is shocked he had the guts to stand so close. Blasting insane energy, she turns and demands his real name. But wait, how did things get this messed up? Before Eva hijacked his body, Todoroki actually promised Shikami a new squad captain spot. The guy was practically shaking with pure excitement. Todoroki told him to keep it quiet though. The big reveal was tomorrow morning. Even more hyped, Shikami joked that chatting like this would definitely leak the secret anyway. Todoroki calmed him down, praising Shikami as a raw powerhouse who would make an absolutely top-tier squad captain. Feeling the respect, Shikami promised to go all out. He went in for a fist bump and got sliced into literal ribbons. In one blink, Shikami was slaughtered right there. Todoroki just froze up his brain, totally short-circuiting. Now, pay attention, because here is where it gets wild. A deep voice echoes, mocking Shikami for being completely pathetic. The voice sneers that their squad only got strong by relying on cheap artifacts and whoever handed them out. Then the shadowy figure steps out. Introducing herself as Eva of the 12 Apostles, she smirks, ready for some real bloody fun. Strolling over to the corpse, she activates her heavenly demon skill and completely takes over his flesh. While she did that, Todoroki snapped. Unleashing Vajra, he obliterated her with one massive punch. Furious and crying, he suddenly hears slow clapping. The exact same Shikami is standing behind him, praising his master for one-shotting a 12 apostle like a boss. Todoroki whips around, absolutely stunned. His student is alive. Too slow. Eva, wearing the face of his friend, chops him in half. Grinning, she uses a necromancy artifact, turning Todoroki into her personal zombie. Now totally mind-controlled, Todoroki blindly agrees to serve her. He tries calling her Eva, but gets slapped so hard he stumbles. She orders him to say, Shikami, keeping the disguise totally flawless. Todoroki obeys instantly, and both of them share a twisted laugh. Fast forward, Kanagi and Azure hit the crime scene. Azure triggers theatrical detective, hitting rewind on reality. This broken skill actually replays past events, letting him watch the cold hard truth play out. There is a catch though. Azure must hold the evidence and crack the case himself, no cheating by just staring. It even predicts future crimes. But fail just once, get the deduction wrong, the skill vanishes for good. You and I are probably thinking the same thing, disgusting, right? The founders feel sick watching Eva steal bodies. Dead silence drops over the room. Everyone stares at Kanagi, his mana practically screaming with barely contained rage. He swears he will destroy the apostle. Back to now. Furious, our MC blitzes Eva with a penetration-boosted flash reflection punch, driving it right at her face. He chains it with the fist of luminance. The second it connects, a massive shockwave explodes outward. The impact sends her skidding across the dirt, fighting hard just to keep her balance and stay upright. Dust clears and Kanagi freezes. She is laughing. Calling him cruel, she mocks him for hitting so ruthlessly. He already knows the bitter truth. Even against a stolen body, his current power is simply not enough here. Shaking off the hit, Eva sneers that his absolute best moves feel like total child's play. Laughing off the recoil, she brags that he can never hurt her. Kanagi smirks. He was never meant to win. His only job stall long enough for the mage founder to hijack his own body. The founder takes the wheel, promising to clean up. Instantly, the body of our MC erupts with power. Feeling this aura, Eva realizes he is the anomaly the satellites warned about. But instead of panicking, she just gets insanely hyped up. Flashing a psychotic grin, she literally rains hundreds of mummies down. She claims fighting is only fun when death is guaranteed. Watching them drop, Azure realizes these are empty meat puppets she stole and now commands. Eva cracks up, bragging that every single mummy equals Shikami in strength, daring them forward. Hibiki scans the battlefield. 100 enemies, all packing the same insane power level as Shikami. And trust me, you are gonna want to see what happens next. Inside, Kanagi is sickened by her twisted tactics. Stick with me here, the mage notes the founders changed, just as mummies dive straight toward the ground. Controlling his body, the mage says Eva totally messed up. Boom, she unleashes a massive storm of lightning blasts. Every mummy gets fried mid-air, leaving Eva stunned. The mage takes this garbage attack as an absolute insult. Eva dropped the minions right up close, forcing a fast strike before they could even land. Burning mummies rain down while Eva stares in pure confusion. What exactly did Kanagi just do? While others grind for years to get perfect aim, our main character flexes the skill like it is nothing. Every single target hit. 0 misses. The mage tells Kanagi to stay close and watch. He is absolutely blown away that her magic flows this smoothly, even while using his weak body. Pulling him close, she explains the truth. Kanagi only chased power for himself, but the founders wanted to channel their raw strength right through him. He is totally lost. She continues saying that even now the power-drunk main character only cares about reaching the absolute next level of strength. Meanwhile, the founders are completely hooked on his absolutely insane, unmatched talent. But after losing a friend who trusted him, the mage says Kanagi is now furious from the very bottom of his heart. Pointing at the hyped founders, she tells Eva they absolutely love this new Kanagi. Eva is completely thrown off. She charges in, screaming that the world is simple. The strong always crush the weak. Watch this. Just before she lands a hit, a lightning burst flashes right in front of her, stopping her cold. Shocked, Eva looks around as literal thunder rains from the sky. The mage casually notes that plenty of people share Eva's mindset, but she once watched a monster strong enough to destroy the tower get completely toyed with, then eaten by beasts from another dimension. Watching her comrades fall changed her. Now she protects the weak and swears to get brutal revenge for them. Strolling toward Eva and Kanagi's body, the mage calls her totally pathetic, mocking her for lacking the actual strength to fight. Eva can barely stand as thunder keeps blasting her. The mage knows that even when our guy trained happily in the mountains, deep down he craved revenge, and the founders feel the exact same way. They fully expect him to reach their legendary tier. Holding out a hand, she promises they will always help him. If anything causes him pain, he just needs to point right at it. They will end the prophecy. He points at Eva, and raw lightning instantly rips her body apart. Everyone is stunned. The instructor finally realizes he is like young Midori, a total monster in the making. Lying there in literal pieces, Eva cannot wrap her head around how this kid wiped out her army and shredded her body. Walking up, he asks if she finally respects their power. He casually mentions having a ton of questions. He even adds that he knows some hardcore interrogation experts fully planning to squeeze every last answer out of her. But with a low voice, Eva admits she cannot beat him like this. Her boss was actually totally right. I know what you are thinking. Bam, a coffin rises up. Eva's ultimate trump card leaves him stunned. Eva explains that centuries ago, a legendary founder, the 10,000-man army slasher, actually helped destroy the tower. To his absolute horror, she reveals Hananoi Reihyu's body inside. The founders, especially Hanoki's spirit, are deeply shocked she has his literal corpse. Without blinking, the mage drops a massive thunderbolt on the coffin. Hanoki is shocked, but things are totally serious now. Too late, Eva already hijacked his body. The corpse rises gripping a sword. Hyped on power, Eva gloats she can finally fight as an equal. Kanagi feels the crushing pressure in the air, realizing it is way worse than anything he felt training with Icha. Eva snaps her fingers, and hundreds more undead minions burst straight from the ground. Calls this her second wave, making him panic, but the mage brushes it off. As she summons more, a massive explosion blasts behind her. She turns. His friends have arrived, Icha, Suo, and the rest, ready to fight. Our guy is not alone. Eva gets super annoyed, fully believing he had zero backup. Listening closely, Kanagi notices the corpse sounds exactly like Hananoi. Even with heavy backup, the group is seriously struggling to put these new minions down. Eva smugly gloats that these are built different. This batch has a crazy hardening skill, even max power attacks barely leave a single scratch. Even worse, every single minion has its own unique skill, making this fight an absolute nightmare. Swarmed by massive numbers, the anti-prophecy squad is quickly getting totally overwhelmed. Watching closely, Hibiki pops her sound visualization skill. Boom, she summons a giant sound phoenix that instantly wipes out a whole enemy group. Still, she stays on high alert, since every single minion is boosted by wild personal abilities. Just when this fight is pure chaos, Todoroki suddenly shatters his chains and brutally slams a younger member straight into the dirt. Hibiki barely saves them, and you and I can see Eva is absolutely loving this chaos. Alright, you and I are jumping right into the chaos. She smugly claims only squad captains can hope to survive. Kanagi checks the founders but crickets, so he casually turns to the mage, asking for his body back just for a quick second. She's totally shocked but hands over the keys. Once in control, our main character roasts Eva for underestimating his crew. Meanwhile, Hanada gets completely swarmed by minions, but Kanagi's Lesson 7 flashes in his mind. Using his signature fist technique, he summons a literal dragon to fuel his strikes, absolutely blasting through the mob with explosive kicks. Flashback time. Founder Spirit Wantak noticed Hanada's body was super tough yet flexible, perfect for his crazy fast movement and pinpoint strikes. Another founder chimed in saying the kid's style was okay, but with their coaching it would become top tier. Back to the present, Hanada unleashes all that training, sliding like a snake and wrecking minions from every possible angle with crazy precision. Across the field, Akana readies herself as a massive wave charges her. She remembers Kanagi's lesson on transmute, taking absolute garbage and turning it into perfection. She used to make basic flimsy gear, but now she pulls literal stone golems right out of the dirt. Boom, that was lesson 8. With her new toys, she bulldozes the toughest minions. Kanagi checks in on Suo, but Hinoi confidently says the kid is doing fine. Sure, he might lack his brother's insane genius, but the guy brings his own unique flavor. Right now, he's rocking Hinoi's one-handed sword style, with Skyfall just deleting an entire mob of minions in one single swing. Then he flexes by mixing it with Calendilla, dropping a huge flower-shaped slash. She watches with pride, super impressed by his smooth combined skills. Even so, she admits Kanagi's broken combos are on a whole different planet. While hacking through fodder and thinking this over, a gigantic fire tornado randomly explodes right in front of her. Pay close attention here, this is where the real madness kicks off. But looking closer, her jaw drops entirely. Kanagi is somehow brawling. The legendary founder Hinoi Eva charges, using Hinoi's one-handed sword style, busting out the wave-cutting blade technique. Our main character dodges it with ridiculous ease. Eva misses completely, but the sheer force still shreds the earth apart. He claps right back with the mage's thunderbolt, but someone as absurdly beefed up as Eva barely even flinches. She retaliates with dice, slicing the entire zone into floating cubes and effortlessly chopping up her own troops. Kanagi only survives by hopping onto a floating block, suddenly remembering he once tanked this exact ridiculous move himself. With the battlefield chopped into flying cubes, everyone else is totally losing their footing. One guy grabs his falling teammate. But before he can yank her up, the dice slash completely lops his arm off. She plummets, still clutching the detached arm. Luckily, Kanagi spots the tragedy, instantly popping a bubble spell to float them all out of danger. The mage spirit starts panicking, asking Hinoi what the heck the plan is. Hinoi just tells her to figure it out, and she absolutely delivers. Right as Eva fires a massive beam called Splitting Cloud, the mage unleashes her magic, turning the battlefield into absolute chaos. Eva is losing her mind over this founder's body, completely mesmerized by how perfectly Hinoi was built for pure violence. Even then she wants more juice. So she triggers Hinoi's secret art, indomitability, and lunges in for a brutal finishing blow. We all thought he was done right. Nope. Kanagi catches the blade bare-handed. Hinoi's spirit isn't moved at all, and the mage totally roasts Eva, telling her she's pathetically weak, even using Hinoi's body. That pushes Eva over the edge. She screams, demanding how a founder's body could ever be called weak. Desperate for raw power, she forces her way into Hinoi's memories. But the deeper she snoops, the more she starts crying from pure, unadulterated horror. Those tears are literally overflowing from Hinoi's brutal past back when he was actually alive during the insane age of the towers. Just watching this replay almost shatters Eva's sanity. In the memory, Hinoi casually slices an entire massive tower in half, but after fights like that, he just grew colder and emptier. Eva literally cannot process how a human reached that godlike skill level. Hinoi's memories are just endless, pure destruction. Bodies getting shredded, monsters dying in droves, the ocean splitting, and literal gashes ripped right into the planet itself. The sheer gravity of those memories absolutely crushes Eva's spirit, breaking her down. She totally panics, searching for an escape, but it's way too heavy. Her soul physically begins to crack like it's fracturing permanently. Hinoi's spirit literally just shrugs, unbothered. But another founder yells a warning. If she snaps, she's going berserk and destroying everyone around them. And guess what? That happens exactly as predicted. Eva completely shatters. An earth-shattering scream rips out of her, hitting so hard it reaches Takasaki. The shockwave instantly forces the government officials to order mass evacuations. That crazy aura, it's from Nagano, 100 kilometers away. Trust me, you and I need to see what's next. Let's dive right in. Even miles away, shockwaves are hitting people. Some scream the world is ending, while others think a monster spawned. Back at ground zero, total chaos. Eva is screaming, rocks are levitating, and her heavy aura is absolutely crushing everyone on the battlefield. The weaker fighters, they just cough blood and immediately collapse. Nagi instantly calls out to Hinoi, but he's completely chilled out. He says he left this to Mage, and Mage casually agrees. With Eva charging the main character, Mage lifts her sleeve, revealing a seal. Completely calm, she promises to end this in one single hit. The second that seal breaks open, his body erupts with absolutely massive energy. Akane is completely stunned. Inside him, the alchemist spirit tells them both to watch closely and see if this is magic or alchemy. He says both paths chase the truth, and right now he is about to grasp a real piece of it. As he talks, those exact same seals start spreading rapidly all over our guy's arms. The spirit seriously wonders if Kanagi can even handle these truth fragments, or if his body will literally snap under the crazy strain. By now, Eva's soul is completely shattered. Only leftover fragments are driving her body, making her lash out on pure instinct like a wild beast. Hinoi mentions he abandoned his own body to this crazy state ages ago, a state called truth ignorance. As Eva's blind rage peaks, dark energy just explodes, literally warping the air. Watch closely here, because Mage suddenly sees a future where this power wipes out everyone, kills Kanagi, and basically nukes the entire continent. Eva could literally trigger the apocalypse right now. Seeing that vision, he immediately understands the insane danger. So Mage unleashes Magus of Truth, a broken skill that shuts down enemy abilities. Its raw power is so huge the world can barely handle it. Eva packs dark energy into her fist and swings at Kanagi, but he stops her cold. To her shock, he grabs her hand tight. In that split second, Mage fires blinding light right through his body, and a massive flash erupts between them. When the smoke clears, Eva is just a burned skeleton, and he's still holding her hand. Controlling our guy's body, Mage whispers one final goodbye to Eva's soul as her ashes scatter into the wind. The other founders watch solemnly, while Hinoi stands up, totally annoyed that his soul and body are completely separated now. Mage smiles, asking if this helps his training. Taking back control, he is totally stunned to see the field cleared, with teammates cheering like he soloed the boss himself. Anika meanwhile pouts that he didn't use a sword. Did her lessons mean absolutely nothing? Hinota sighs in huge relief, and Suo praises him for vaporizing a major threat in one single hit. But Akane noticed the real detail. She realizes he perfectly read the opponent's skills and completely cancelled them. Thinking about it makes her hands shake. Can a human actually reach that insane level? Still, she steels herself, determined to reach it too. Meanwhile, the instructor is absolutely stressing over the giant crater. We both know this was just an exam, but man, it spiraled fast. Plus, Todoroki is dead, which just makes the instructor mad because now he has to organize a makeup test. Regrouping, someone spots a glowing magic circle and panics. The instructor freezes until they all realize it's actually the superintendent. Kanagi spots her and instantly recognizes the old woman from his inner mindscape earlier. Even her own assistant looks totally confused about why they are actually here. Suddenly, the superintendent kneels right in front of him. She says she's waited hundreds of years for the founders, and now they finally stand before her. Suo and the rest immediately stare at Ichika, demanding answers. She just sighs, saying they should know her even if it's their very first time meeting face to face. Ichika explains this old woman is an anti-prophecy founder, basically the highest authority in all of Japan. Suo snaps back that they already know that. The real question is why she's kneeling to Kanagi. Ichika shrugs, completely clueless. He is just as lost, wondering why this granny is bowing. The founders inside him try hard to remember, but nobody has a clue. Then he suddenly feels her massive, overwhelming aura and completely freezes. The old woman stands up, joking about getting old. To prove it, she turns around and literally starts shaking her hips, telling Haninoi to watch her dance. The founders are all super confused until it suddenly clicks for them. This crazy granny is Io. Haninoi tells Kanagi to swap out. Taking over, Haninoi casually greets her, absolutely stunning everyone standing around them. Her assistants aggressively step up, taking this casual greeting as a massive insult. Furious, they threaten to kill him and restart the exam, but Io, literally still dancing with Haninoi, tells her guards to back off and chill out. Haninoi jokes, she's a granny now. And honestly, I love where we're leaving this. Stick with me here. Hearing his voice, Ao remembers he sounded exactly like this back in the good old days. Soon enough, everyone starts fixing up the wrecked training grounds and dusting themselves off. Later on, deep inside the anti-prophecy headquarters, Kanagi finds the hut of everlasting vision and is totally blown away by its garden. Io explains that since she cannot exactly wander around, a barrier stays up so she can just live her best life in total peace. Our main character asks if she knew all the founders. Io drops her backstory, orphaned when the towers fell until the founders stepped up, saved her life, and raised her themselves. Nagi is completely shocked she was just a kid then, but when Io casually mentions that was 300 years ago, his jaw drops, realizing this girl is over 3 centuries old. She then reveals her secret, a crazy artifact that literally stops time, keeping her young forever while inside the base. Hearing about artifacts sparks his memory. Hanoki's spirit pops up, telling Valentine this item works just like her own super rare preservation skill. Valentine totally agrees, bragging she could do that at her peak. Still, she cannot figure out how Ao scored an artifact that insanely overpowered. Ao explains the anti-prophecy runs a top-secret division just for hoarding artifacts, and almost nobody even knows it exists. Recently, their vault got ambushed and tons of valuable artifacts were swiped. Now watch closely because the plot thickens. A special team formed to hunt them down, including Midori. Kanagi's inner detective suspects the 12 apostles did it. That totally explains their insane power nowadays. Our protagonist is honestly mind-blown by how fast the detective pieced that crazy puzzle together. The detective explains that after Eva blabbed about her boss handing out artifacts, he snooped through her memories and confirmed everything. Another founder chimes in, finding 12 fighters stronger than Makoto is impossible. Handing cheat code artifacts to average guys is way easier. Inoi nods, pointing out their last 2 enemies were nowhere near Makoto's crazy level. Thus, she adds nobody even knew these 12 apostles existed until the vault got completely robbed. She warns that these apostles now pack the same threat level as their ultimate enemy, meaning they are way too dangerous to ignore. They are rushing to find the leader, but guess what? Midori might actually get there first. That news terrifies Kanagi. Meanwhile, all the way in Detroit, Michigan, empty streets literally look like a post-apocalyptic war zone. A massive spell suddenly whips up a brutal tornado and smashes the concrete. Midori stands in the center, having just uncovered a massive secret. They thought the 12 apostles only had 12 members. Nope, there is a 13th. Watching through a crystal orb, some guy chilling on a couch just smirks, super impressed. Midori showed up so early. You and I know this guy is crazy. Playfully, he offers Midori coffee or tea, and Midori instantly answers back. He chooses death. Calling him by his real title, Number 0, Midori blasts another massive turbulence beam at the floating villain. The explosion is so huge that miles away, another task force member named Nisha spots the flash. Makoto is with him, mentioning the city is safely evacuated, so property damage is whatever. But he cannot figure out why Midori is going completely berserk. They barely dodge in time, leaping off a building right before the whole thing gets sliced in half and collapses. Landing safely, they agree to let Midori handle Number 0 while they go hunt down Kamaragi, another 12 Apostles member. Back to the fight, Midori gets super annoyed. Even his ultimate wind strikes cannot scratch Number 0's protective bubble. He wonders if it is an artifact or raw skill. Finishing his tea, Number 0 just steps out of the bubble himself, smirking at Midori and asking if he is finally done. Midori instantly answers, with a literal wall of cutting pearls launching massive boulders straight at him. Boom! A colossal explosion goes off, but to his absolute horror, Number 0 just walks out unharmed. Staring Midori down, he casually flexes that the power gap between them is like a whale versus a guppy. Midori panics, realizing this guy defends himself effortlessly even without the shield. Looking right back, Number 0 just keeps mocking him. He gloats that normally Midori is so terrifying he would never want to fight him. But right now Midori is mentally shattered from losing his best friend. Number 0 calls him totally pathetic. He twists the knife, saying Midori was born as nothing but a mindless monster made for war. Yet despite all that power, he still failed to protect his loved ones. Hearing that pushes Midori into absolute berserker mode. Furious, he rushes number 0 with terrifying speed. His eyes burn with pure killing intent as tragic old memories flood his mind. Flashback to 23 years ago. Deep in the mountains, Shinome, a special task force operative, was standing there completely frozen in shock. A massive pillar of energy was erupting from a crater, and he realized the entire Midori family mansion was simply wiped out. Superintendent Ao is standing there too, staring in horror at the totally destroyed estate. Right in the blast zone, something is radiating insane power. Stepping closer, Ao discovers it is literally just a baby. Wild right, you and I just learned this whole disaster happened simply because this child was born. Let's jump into one of the wildest manhwa arcs out there. Without pausing, Ao charges toward the baby, taking vicious cuts everywhere from its insane energy. Still, she pushes through, scoops the kid up, and gently calms him. She whispers that everything is all right. Feeling her warmth, the little guy finally stops his crying. The violent tornado around them totally fades, leaving Ao completely battered and bleeding out. Holding him tight, she announces the anti-prophecy faction will raise him. Later, they name this baby Midori. Fast forward 9 years. Midori is a young kid packing up to leave the compound. Hanoi, a teacher, and 12-year-old Icha step in to stop him. They warn that the anti-prophecy will hunt him down if he escapes. Midori shrugs it off completely. But as the master turns his back, he mutters that this defiance is exactly why he spared Midori. Icha feels the heavy tension and just bursts out laughing. Annoyed, the master snaps, asking what is so hilarious. See, Midori was ridiculously overpowered, shattering every single record and viewing everyone else as totally weak. Until one day, he bumps into Makoto. The guy casually throws him a wooden stick and asks for a sword sparring session. Midori is completely caught off guard, but Makoto just smirks and readies his weapon. They were the exact same age here. They kick off their training, but Midori just cannot beat Makoto in a sword fight. He gets super mad, but keeps demanding rematches anyway. Makoto agrees, hoping to teach him a lesson, and Midori gets crushed again. Furious, he yells, wondering why his max effort still equals losing. Nishina, chilling nearby, points out the actual problem: Midori is way too strong. Midori is super confused since he keeps losing. Suddenly, a voice chimes in, saying that is actually a massive compliment. That was 14-year-old Makoto talking. Since Midori keeps snapping his wooden swords, Nishina grabs an egg to demonstrate exactly why it happens. Watch this part closely. You and I know going full power makes it impossible not to crush fragile things like an eggshell. Midori is still totally lost, so Makoto snatches the egg and literally chucks it at max speed. Midori's jaw drops when it smashes the ground without a single crack. Scooping it up, Makoto explains the secret. Midori has to perfectly balance his attack aura, with the defensive aura shielding the shell. It is not a magical skill, just pure experience over time. While he speaks, Nishina completely pelts the wall with eggs and not one shatters. Midori is absolutely blown away. Makoto hands him an egg, stating straight up, if he ever wants a victory in sword combat, he must master aura control first. Once he nails this, his insane strength will not accidentally murder everyone nearby. Makoto turns to leave, but Midori yells out, catching a raw egg right to the forehead. Makoto looks back and realizes Midori is begging him to stay and practice aura control together. Makoto fires back that he needs an apology first. Then he kicks up the whole crate, using raw power to levitate every single egg. Midori attempts to copy the move, but every egg near him instantly explodes into pieces. However, after grinding for hours, he finally throws an egg with enough force to punch right through the wall, keeping the shell totally intact. With that, settled sword practice resumes. Now that Midori actually controls his insane aura, they spar for hours without destroying the entire block. Watching this epic progress, Nishina and Makoto get hyped up and demand to fight him next. 4 years pass. Midori officially joins the special task force, while Makoto walks his own separate path. Midori deploys on a prophecy mission to assist the European branch hunting a special rank threat known as Pandemonium. He checks if Makoto is still hunting for a swordmaster. Makoto nods, reminding Midori about his promise to uncover his very own master someday. Makoto extends his fist, calling them true equals. With a huge grin, Midori bumps fists and swears he will be waiting for him. From then on, Midori dedicates his life to his squad. As long as his friends breathe, he keeps fighting. Friendship was literally his only dream, and the 12 apostles ripped it straight from his hands. I know what you're thinking, payback time, right? Back in the present, Midori charges number 0 with lethal intent, but the guy doesn't even flinch. Just before Midori lands, his absolute haymaker number 0 whips out a shiny golden egg and crushes it instantly. It triggers a chaotic life stampede spell, completely flooding the zone with blinding light. The other task force members spot the flash, wondering if Midori caused it. When the blinding glow finally fades, Midori steps out, radiating a bizarre but incredibly heavy aura. Makoto asks if number 0 is already dead, getting absolute silence. They shout his name, but to their utter horror, Midori blankly states he has no idea who they are. Nishina instantly realizes things are horribly wrong and screams for Makoto to retreat, but it is way too late. Midori already has his palm resting on Makoto's forehead. Flashing a creepy, twisted smile, he drops turbulence and unleashes a violent whirlwind. Poof. 3 elite members of the Japanese task force completely vanish. Shortly after, another squad from the USA branch bringing Maris and Ashton drops in to investigate the mess. Ashton touches the ground, sensing insane leftover energy from the massive explosion. That's where we leave it. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Stick with me here. Maris is staring at this massive crater, finally understanding why everyone calls Midori the world's strongest man. But seriously, how does a guy that ridiculously overpowered just vanish with his entire squad? Ashton has absolutely zero answers. The news of Midori vanishing hits the Japanese branch and absolute chaos erupts. Over at the Everlasting Vision Hut, the assistant superintendent is shaking in total disbelief. A stressed-out Io demands to know if they really have 0 leads on Midori's location. She questions Midori's assistant Ren. But Ren is clueless too. The artifact connecting her to him got completely destroyed. Io calls the whole situation a nightmare. Mid-conversation, Kanagi walks in officially rocking his brand new squad captain cape. He's clearly a little awkward about his new title. The assistant superintendent reveals that every single captain voted for him, unanimously. Since he survived fighting Eva, everyone thinks he's the only guy who can replace Makoto. Taking a knee, our MC remembers his vow surpass the founders fast and stop the death toll. He thanks them for having his back, swearing he'll do whatever it takes to honor the anti-prophecy's high expectations. This gets Io super hyped. She straight up admits she always knew he was captain material. Then her expression drops. She asks for his take on a seriously urgent problem. Just days ago, he was hunting for anti-prophecy members to recruit. Now he's sitting there advising the superintendent, and honestly the whole situation feels totally surreal. While the boss talks, a door painted with a massive tiger just spawns right behind Io. Kanagi jumps, and as it opens, Io reveals 2 special task force members, Nisha and Makoto, both heavily wounded. She confirms they were on Midori's squad. They're the only survivors who know the truth. Now, pay close attention here. Makoto reveals that in Detroit, the 12 Apostles leader hijacked Midori's body, leaving Kanagi completely mind-blown. Makoto continues, noting this mind control trick feels exactly like the power Eva used earlier. He bets some crazy artifact is causing it, though the exact details don't even matter yet. The terrifying part, Midori, the ultimate protector, is now humanity's biggest threat. That brutal reality hits our MC like a truck. Makoto mentions Midori fought off the possession just long enough for him and Nisha to make a run for it. Right before losing his mind, Midori said sorry and left one final mission. He begged Kanagi to take down number 0 for him. Our guy just freezes, completely crushed by the insane weight of that request. The assistant superintendent pats his shoulder, trusting him fully. But hey, reality check, he still needs 7 members minimum to form a proper squad. Right now, he's only got Hinata, Akane, and Suo. That means his top priority is scoring 3 more recruits fast. Wasting 0 time, Kanagi sprints out to recruit. He locks onto a young Hibiki squad member and literally chases him down, begging him. The poor kid panics and bolts, screaming that he will never abandon the Hibiki team. Thinking he escaped, Akane suddenly blocks his way, flashing a transfer paper personally signed by Hibiki. I know what you're thinking, there's no way his captain agreed. But reading the actual signature, the kid officially surrenders and joins our MC. Boom, that makes 4 members for Kanagi. Meanwhile, Hinata is off trying to recruit Akihina. His recruitment strategy is honestly so weird. He starts aggressively stomping his leg around like some bizarre invitation dance, and Akihina just deadpan stares at him. Hinata yells that it's a direct captain order and they need him on the squad. Akihina drops a hard no. He's aiming for the captain exam since Todoroki's death left a sweet empty spot. Hinata refuses to quit. Out of nowhere, he launches a brutal test kick, but Akihina dodges it flawlessly, flexing his freakish evasion skills. This just hypes Hinata up more. Intrigued, Akihina actually proposes a little wager. If Hinata lands even one single touch within 60 seconds outside, he'll join up. Hinata smirks, asking if there are rules. When Akihina says anything goes, Hinata literally coats himself in a glowing dragon aura, going all out. Akihina starts the countdown. Flashback: a bit deep in an anti-prophecy limestone cave, Akihina was hanging out with Captain Surakai. The guy was casually fishing in a 17th dimensional rift called the Underjaw. Surakai bragged about catching monster fish inside it. Spotting Akihina, he casually asked if he was taking the captain replacement exam for Todoroki's old spot. Akihina confirmed it, claiming he wanted to be a captain who survives. But Surakai basically told him he could achieve that without the fancy title. Akihina looked shocked, asking if he lacked talent. Reeling in an absolute unit of a shark, Surakai straight up said he's missing a crucial piece. Snapping back to reality, Hinata rushes in hard, but Akihina just keeps weaving. Even at point-blank range, Hinata still can't score a single hit. He quickly figures out Akihina is using some broken evasion power. So what do you and I make of this? It's his hidden skill, Omni-Ego. A crazy power letting him teleport anywhere within 100 meters. Alright, stick with me here. His teleportation is wild. Once he visits a spot, he jumps there instantly. Hinata throws attack after attack, but Akihina dodges every single one. It's an insanely tough matchup, but Hinata treats it like training. Eventually, he'll have to fight Midori anyway. Blinking around the yard, Akihina questions why Hinata follows Kanagi. Still swinging, Hinata admits he can't pinpoint anything special. He launches another kick, saying he knows Akihina's ideal captain is just someone who boosts their survival rate by even 1%. That sounds super noble, but Hinata refuses to trust a leader who only values survival. Akihina gets visibly annoyed. But Hinata explains that strictly playing it safe means you'll never reach your actual goal, saying that his mind flashes back to childhood, the awful day a prophecy got his entire family killed. That trauma made him vow to destroy prophecies forever. He saw Kanagi actually had the power to do it, so he pledged loyalty. Hearing his resolve, Akihina finally realizes the one trait he lacks as captain being a rock for his team. He returns to dodging, completely confident in his victory, promising himself to think over this chat later. Now watch this genius play. With 5 seconds left, Hinata texts someone. Akihina looks totally confused right before Suwa drops a massive skyfall strike. Boom, the blast completely shatters the courtyard, wiping out all of Akihina's teleport markers. Hinata instantly rushes in. He leaps straight off the building, unleashing a flashy kick that grazes Akihina's outfit. The clock hits 0. But since that graze totally counts, Hinata secures the win. Landing safely, Suwa asks if destroying the entire courtyard was really necessary. Hinata just shrugs, thanking his buddy for the assist. Over in the back, Akihina is fuming. But after typing away on his laptop, he finally caves and joins Kanagi's squad. Hinata and Suwa celebrate with an epic high five. Meanwhile, the main character and Akane Dragon Io completely chained up. Io is absolutely speechless at the destroyed courtyard, but Suwa jokes that he's writing their apology letter. Hinata tries playing peacemaker, guessing Ren can fix the mess. But they still have one major issue: they need a final member. Akane is completely clueless and asks Kanagi for ideas. The protagonist points straight at the surviving task force trio. He casually mentions they are already on his roster. For now, they'll just fight under him. Meanwhile, over at the Watchtower, the 12 apostles gather up for a tense meeting. Only 5 members remain, but they are incredibly cocky. Why? They possess the world's ultimate weapon, Midori's body. Anti-prophecy is basically doomed. Number 0 strictly reminds them of their mission. They must do absolutely whatever it takes to manifest prophecy. Back inside Anti-Prophecy's lab, the assistant superintendent eagerly asks the director if they uncovered the missing clues. The director nods, dropping a bomb. The Book of Doom the apostles carried was actually one single text split apart. By analyzing the 8 recovered volumes, they realize this disaster matches a top-tier prophecy known as the Bhagavad Gita. I know what you're thinking. Could one guy destroy everything? Yeah, the director confirms Midori's power alone is more than enough. Out above the ocean, Midori cruises through the sky with Hajime and Apostle heading towards some mystery location. Midori randomly asks if Hajime ever read the Gita. After a no, Midori explains it's a Hindu text about doing your duty selflessly. He casually notes that whoever penned their current prophecy must have really truly hated humanity. As they float right over Times Square, a family points them out. A kid goes wild, recognizing the world's strongest awakener. Instantly, the massive crowd notices going absolutely crazy and begging for some cool pictures. They even hype up Hajime, calling him a real samurai. With the energy peaking, Midori gives Hajime the green light. Immediately, he charges a terrifying energy sphere. The clueless crowd just keeps cheering, completely oblivious to their fate. One dad literally snaps a picture right as Midori launches that massive attack into the sky, swallowing the heavens. It morphs into a monstrous tornado. Deep inside, the actual Midori is screaming for Number 0 to stop. Too late, Number 0 activates turbulence. Cut to the cafeteria where Kanagi is teaching until Suwa sprints in, frantically showing off his phone. It is absolute breaking news. New York is literally burning. The broadcast claims an awakener just annihilated the entire city. At the American branch, Superintendent Vice is absolutely losing his mind at Io raging over Midori wiping out New York. Io tries talking him down, but the devastation is unreal. Countless innocent lives are gone in the world's financial hub. She drops the truth: Midori wasn't in control. The leader of the 12 apostles hijacked his body. They've identified the guy as Warren Hastings. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what this dimension invader does next. Alright, stick with me here. Vice is totally stunned when Io reveals the 12 apostles are using rogue artifacts. To her, this definitely proves some massive powerhouse is backing them up. Vice still points the finger at Io since the absolute menace who wiped out a city was from her squad. He warns the White House might literally drop nukes on Midori. But Vice knows dropping nukes on Midori is useless, so he asks for her real plan. Over in the cafeteria, Kanagi casually asks Sue about finishing lesson 15. Sue says yes, and then our main character casually promotes him to vice captain of the squad. He orders Sue to keep everyone grinding hard until they actually get deployment orders. Since Yu and Akihina are basically always fighting, they seriously need to fix their teamwork if they want flawless execution. When Sue asks what Kanagi is doing, the protagonist just says he is taking a nap. And this time, a really deep one. Nobody is allowed to wake him up direct orders. Sue just nods, choosing to completely trust his captain. Back at the Everlasting Hut, Io decides to fight Midori using their top elite squad. Meanwhile, our guy hits his bed and instantly passes out. Inside his dream, he pulls his sword to train with Hinoki while the other founders wake up to watch. Now, watch this closely, because things get wild. Hinoki instantly slices Kanagi into ribbons. He regenerates just to get chopped into tiny pieces again. Hinoki coldly reminds him he literally begged for full power training, so now he is going to get absolutely devoured. Hinoki rushes Kanagi at terrifying speed. Another founder tries jumping in, but Wontak and the mage quickly block him. The founders start arguing. Sure, this brutal torture method works fast, but the main character is dying way too much here. His soul could literally shatter at this rate. Still, everybody knows Midori is the absolute strongest awakener alive right now, and our main character in his current state would get wrecked. This training is pure torture, but it is their only hope. That founder warns there has to be a limit to Kanagi's sanity, but the alchemist casually tells her to chill out. The kid is not made of glass. Even watching him get butchered on repeat, the mage knows he will survive this. Kanagi apologizes to Hinoki, totally crushed by his insane aura. It literally feels like standing naked in a freezing mountain blizzard. Catching his breath, Kanagi charges Hinoki one more time, and boom, he gets split in half. But this time around, he actually manages to slice off a single strand of Hinoki's hair. Before he was totally helpless. Now he finally landed a hit. No matter how many brutal deaths he takes, he refuses to stay down. Classic main character energy. Meanwhile, over in Mumbai, Arid from the Indian branch's Special Task Force completely lights up the second he spots Midori. He reminds Midori that without his help, that insane special rank Blazing Fire boss would have reduced Mumbai to ashes. I know what you are thinking. Arid grins and asks if the hero who saved the city is now here to destroy it. Midori just says those words are completely useless. It is his body, but Number Zero is steering the wheel. Number Zero totally laughs at the idea of Midori fighting back. Just to be toxic, he pulls out Midori's thoughts, making his real voice beg Arid to run. Arid refuses to run away. This is his hometown, and he will defend it until his last breath. Back at the Everlasting Hut, Io tells the assistants a crazy truth. Humanity has been fighting interdimensional beings for over a century. Way back in the Founders era, the tower popped up, then the crack, then those prophecies. And throughout all that chaos, some humans basically sold out, teaming up with monsters to end the world. She drops this lore, an assistant panics seeing the news. India just fell, and the enemy is making a straight line for Europe. Io coolly says she totally expected that, though it would have been much easier if they rushed Japan. When they ask her why, she explains Number Zero just hijacked Midori's body so he cannot access its max power level yet. Plus, this guy literally levels up the more he fights, so she orders them to summon every single captain right now. He tells Tengen he is heading out to the front lines too. He jokes they only remember his name when they need a meat shield. But the massive shocker, Io casually announces she is personally going into battle. Since the Kanagi squad is the only real weapon against Midori, everyone else just has to stall for time. Hibiki and the super-stressed captains ask how much time the kid needs. Io answers the main character requested 2 days and declares the Pacific Ocean as their grand battlefield. The entire Japanese branch of Anti-Prophecy gathers there for the ultimate showdown. The second Midori charges, he blasts turbulence magic at them. Io effortlessly blocks it with a massive defensive spell. Midori narrows his eyes in pure shock, while Io smirks, telling the villain not to underestimate her team. Earlier, before the captains left to face this monster, Hagi and her squad ran up desperately begging to join the fight against the 12 Apostles' leader. Their captain says no, but Hagi argues through tears. And trust me, you are going to want to see what happens. Let's dive in. You and I are about to watch these leaders take on a totally hopeless fight, asking their squads if they understand why. The power gap is absolutely massive. Even knowing it is a suicide mission, they truly believe their subordinates will survive and keep fighting. That is exactly why the captains entrust them with protecting the whole world. And with those heavy words, the leaders walk away. The squads are just left standing there. Some absolutely break down crying, while others harden their resolve to protect the Kanagi squad during training. Their eyes are heavy with grief. But tears will not save them now. They have to move, and they have to move fast. Flash, the squad captains, superintendents, and their assistants teleport straight to the ocean, facing Midori together. Ao effortlessly blocks Midori's turbulence. The other captains completely mind-blown, staring in pure shock at her raw power. Midori is stunned by this weird ability. Digging into his memories, number 0 recognizes, oh, she is the anti-prophecy superintendent. She was literally a mother figure to Midori, always hiding her true, terrifying strength. Oh, drops a bombshell. This is the first time in a whole century she has actually used her power in battle. Now watch closely. Nobody has seen her go all out, but she finally activates her 88 mirror spell, packing 2 insane stages. Stage 1, she can completely cancel any ability once she understands how it works. Boom, absolute perfect defense against literally anything. It is the ultimate counter skill, pairing perfectly with a mage's genius analysis. But Midori is not waiting around. He fires back with blazing turbulence, launching a massive storm of deadly tornadoes straight at Ao. Captains panic. It is the exact move that burned India to the ground, but Ao already read it. She casually swats it away. Here is stage 2. After reflecting an attack, she can copy it. She fires back her own tornadoes, completely shattering Midori's assault into pieces. Midori quickly decodes her power, but before he can act, he gets super irritated, sensing a fast attack rushing from his blind spot. A captain charges in using Infinite Fist, absolutely hammering Midori with a brutal non-stop barrage. Every single strike makes Midori's body go numb. Yet after all those hits, the captain is horrified to see him barely even flinch. Desperate, the captain grabs Midori midair, screaming for the rest of the team to strike while he pins him down. Hibiki instantly drops her sound visualization skill. Phoenix and the other captains unleash their strongest, most devastating moves all at once. You saw that too, right? Nope, Midori answers with Wall of Cutting Pearl, blasting massive tornadoes that slam into everyone. The smoke clears. He is completely untouched, mocking Ao for bringing such weak, pathetic fighters. Suddenly, a terrifying presence looms above. He looks up. The superintendent's assistant is forming a massive, blazing, sun-like ball of pure energy. Midori panics, realizing that attack gets way stronger the longer it charges. He quickly tries forming his own energy sphere to counter, but the female assistant activates Slavemaker, instantly locking his hand in chains. Midori is shook. He totally did not expect an awakener he could not even sense. Right then, the male assistant finishes charging. He hurls that massive fireball straight at the trapped Midori. Watching it zoom in, Midori knows dodging is impossible. He preps a wind attack. But here is what you and I see next. Another massive fireball launched by Ao's mirror spell coming right at him. The 2 fireballs violently crash together, completely swallowing Midori in one massive explosion.